Defining Duke is brought to you by Chromadex. From head to toe, your body is made up of trillions of cells, which are busy performing their specific functions to keep you healthy and resilient. Now, a lot of you who listen to Defining Duke already know this, but for those who don't, I'm about the health is wealth lifestyle, as is Lord Cognito. So we thought that Chromadex's True Niagen was a perfect fit for our show. Since taking True Niagen, I feel at peace knowing it is researched by the top scientific institutions in the world. Right now, new customers can save 20% off on their first purchase by going to trueniagen.com/Duke and use the code Duke. That's TRUNIAGEN.com/Duke, code Duke to save 20% off your first purchase. trueniagen.com/Duke, code Duke. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Defining Duke is brought to you by Manscaped. Can I just get a round of applause, everyone? Because today, I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not-so-private parts. I'm talking about a leveled-up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. This is an all-in-one skin and hair kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code Duke. I love my Ultra Premium Collection because it's taking care of me from head to toe. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Duke at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Duke at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle, thanks to Manscaped. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here, and welcome to episode 60 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by, he changed his shirt twice today, Lord Cognito.
It's hot, man.
Yeah, sweating it up in that last show. Huh?
Yeah, sweating it. It was a hot one.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's warm in here, yeah.
Yeah, we not gonna spoil yet. But
no,
we wait.
Yeah, we want to surprise the audience with this one.
Yeah,
we did do a show before this, and with recent news, it's going to be a hot one. It's going to be a hot one, yeah?
Absolutely, man. It's definitely going to be a hot one, but definitely amped for this one. We got a lot to talk about. Mm-hmm. I'm excited, man. I mean, it's been an interesting week. I've been under the weather. So salute to you, first of all, for holding it down. You know, definitely caught a little bit of the ultimate. We'll get into that with Ben. But just try to get over the flu, but then some things came out and gaming kind of perked me back up. And I'm on
I saw, bro. You were messaging me back at like 4 a.m. last night or something. Yeah, you're mighty sick, huh?
Yeah, I may have got a second win due to some games that we'll get into. What's been going on with you, man? You've been putting in hours on things.
I have. Yeah. Been a lot of Elden Ring hours. I've literally neglected almost, outside of my relationship, every single aspect of my life for this game. I've literally just thrown it all away, man. Like, I don't remember the last time I fucking exercised. Like, it's been wild out here. But yeah, I put over 50 hours into that game. Review is live, or impressions, I should say. And we'll be talking about it more in this show. But as you said, I have definitely been putting in the work lately. Proud of that. But it's been a lot. Looking forward to a little bit more of a mellow time as we coast into March, where there are games coming out. Like, I'm excited for Triangle Strategy, but nothing too intense like Elden Ring. But it has been a fun week. I can't complain, because even when I was like going all full speed, this is what we talked about at the beginning of the year, right? You move strategically at a brisk pace, so then you can sprint when it's time to go. And that's what I did. I was sprinting for Crossfire. I was sprinting for Crossfire. I was sprinting from it, and I was sprinting towards Elden Ring. So it's been a good sprint. Now I'm going to start coasting into a jog here, and we're maintaining the health as wealth. Maybe not health, I should say, because I've been sitting on my butt for a while here. But anyway, I could go on. Thank you for asking, Cog. And
yeah, man.
For those who want to catch this week's DDU, we just posted it. It is Sea of Ben. We had associate producer. I almost said executive producer, but now I know why I almost said that. Associate producer Ben Smith joined us for this episode. It was just him and I, because as Cog said, he was under the weather. So we did an impromptu, highly requested Sea of Thieves show. I don't know how highly requested it truly was, because the top rated comment on the episode was going to skip this one. Game is ass. And I was just like, okay, guys. Like, all right. I'm glad we listened to feedback on this. But anyway, Ben joined us. We went on for about almost an hour, just talking about Sea of Thieves. Why is it a good time to get into it? The latest updates, and just kind of catch people up on what is one of Xbox's most popular games. In fact, we were looking at the numbers on Twitch, on the player count for Steam, and Sea of Thieves is doing better than Halo Infinite. So there is some merit in the strength of this service game that not a lot of people talk about. And again, it's not a sexy pick, but I think it's an interesting one. So go give that a listen if you have yet to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got stuck in a little bit of it. And definitely, I'm glad you guys touched on it, because I know Ben plays it religiously, but I love the support they've been given for it, and they stuck with it. And again, it's not my cup of tea all the way, but at the end of the day, I get the appeal, and I see it is, as much as people, get their feel, it is a successful title.
Very successful.
Very successful title for Xbox. So, yeah, salute to y'all for holding it down and actually giving it its shine.
Of course. Yeah, I had to make up for that Xbox One episode, right? So, there you go.
There we go.
Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this show goes live every Thursday over at patreon.com/laststandmedia, where you can also listen to the Defining Duke Ultimate episode we just recorded. And I'm just letting y'all know, if you've been listening to the recent ones that have gone to the public, now's a good time to sign up. Some great stuff in the bank for Sacred Symbols that has come out, like an episode on Troy Leave It. I haven't listened to that yet. And we got one of our own that I feel very confident is going to make the rounds. So
fire.
We're very excited.
Scorcher. I changed my shirt.
Yeah. So all of that and more at patreon.com/laststandmedia. And of course, if you want to listen for free, where we do eventually post certain episodes of DDU. And of course, these episodes right here, we're available wherever podcasts are available. So YouTube, Apple, Google, Spotify, everything. Now, let's talk video games, Cog. Before we begin, just a couple of news bits I wanted to get into, some roadmaps for service games. First one I wanted to talk about was Final Fantasy 14 announcing a 10-year planned roadmap, even though this game's been around for a while. Hey, you know what's hilarious about this one, right? You already know where we're going with this, right?
Let's go.
They said that they couldn't do an Xbox version, and y'all are planning to support it for another decade with no Xbox version. Just say PlayStation's paying you. That's all I'm asking. Just say PlayStation gave you a lot of money to keep it off Xbox, because that's what's happening here, clearly.
Listen, that bag is nice.
It is.
I can't knock the hustle. Clearly, they like the relationship, and the relationship will continue.
Yes, absolutely. But for those of you who are playing Final Fantasy 14, I'm sure you already heard, but for those of you who are interested, I've heard good things. I played like 40 hours of it, and I just couldn't, man. I couldn't. That base game's not good, in my opinion. Apparently, the expansions are great, though, which I did not get to. Final Fantasy 14 fans remind me of Trails fans, right? They will harass you if you're like, they're like, you just don't get it. So I'm prepared for that. So I want to put that right in the front of the show that the base game's overrated. Okay. Now, here's something we can all agree on. Fallout 76's 2022 roadmap is hilarious.
Let's get to it.
All right. Did you take a peep at this one?
Excuse me. Exactly. I actually did not. So you go ahead and educate me on this one.
Okay.
What is going on with Fallout 76?
So they are currently in the hospital on life support right now. That's what's going on here. So this game's updates have been scarce in the first place. And I'm looking at the 2022 roadmap right now. And for spring, they're doing Invaders from Beyond, which is already available in the PTS. And it's just a new public event that brings aliens into the game. And that was kind of supposed to come out last year. Okay. But now it's coming out in spring this year. And then they're doing a quality of life update for Fallout Worlds. They're also doing Tester Metal, which is a ton of quality of life updates as well. They include a new public event and a Fallout First scoreboard upgrade. That's in the summer. Then in the fall, so a year and a half later, when Starfield is planning on launching, mind you, Starfield, they're going to launch Expeditions for Fallout 76, the Pit Expeditions, which is, for those who don't remember, it was the trailer that dropped during last year's E3 show for Xbox, where you saw it and you went, oh, the new Fallout game? Okay. And it was actually an expansion for 76 that will let us leave the base game map and go on missions, excursions to the pit. This is going to serve as a prequel, so it's definitely interesting because the Pit's one of the best Fallout 3 DLCs. And then the last one is in the winter, Nuclear World on Tour, which is more public events, a new region boss, so like one of those bosses you can nuke, and a season 11. Stay tuned. So this game's it's dead soon. I'm telling you right now, this game is so close to dead because I have never seen a more killing blow than let's launch our most significant update since Wastelanders. Let's launch that next to Starfield, our biggest game in years. Let's do that.
Yeah, it's weird. Now, how's the player count doing? I was very curious about that. If you know, just off top, is it okay? How's the health of it? I mean, I have not. I'm gonna be brutally honest. The reason why I do not pay attention to Fallout 76 is just that, like I know you have a respect for it, but for me, it's just like I know what they were attempting to do. But I want a mainline Fallout game, so I really have no interest, which is weird because I'm the live service dude. Yeah. But yeah, like it just didn't resonate with me. And Fallout is just that individual story, and I like to learn more about that particular area, the wastes, and it just if for whatever reason it just didn't connect. And then I think graphically,
maybe for whatever reason, man. I think we all know the reason. It's not as good as their previous work, man. Like it's just not. And the player count is fine. Here's the thing that they're not growing. They're just staying with the same group of people. It's what I said in my Dark Age of Bethesda video. Like they're just going to continue to milk Fallout fans. Or I'm sorry, it was the Future of Fallout video I made, the Dark Future of Fallout. It's like they're just going to continue to milk these fans until there's nothing left. That's why they're hardly giving anyone. By the way, they promised a while ago mods, pets, 4-star legendaries, et cetera. None of these are in the game.
Deliverables. Wow.
None of these. And they've promised these for years. Mods have been promised since I want to say 2019.
Wow.
And there's nothing on this roadmap. So again, I tell Fallout fans this all the time because they think I just hate the game and I rile up this fan base constantly. I don't mean to, but like they don't give a fuck about you. Like they're literally gonna take your money and run. So if you're still in that game, get out. That's my suggestion. Let it die. Let us all move on.
It is what it is.
All right, just some moves on the Xbox front of things here, some international hires. I saw the headlines talking about a Seiji Tanaka who's been hired in Japan as a developer partner manager. But after a little bit of digging on some websites, I found that Kevin Taiwa Kim had been hired as a global expansion incubator manager in South Korea. Rod Chang had been hired as a senior director of Asia Gaming in China. And Temi Afolabi had been hired as a global expansion incubator GXI manager in Africa. So Xbox has always come up short in the international department. So this was kind of noteworthy, I thought, just because they're making moves here, especially, of course, the developer partner manager for Japan being the most exciting one. So, Cog, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, very exciting. I like to hear stuff like that. I like to hear progression in the region and attempts, right, to bolster, right? That's all we want bolster, relationships, development. And let's see if there's actually going to be fruit of this. That's the next question. What are the steps involved with the role, and can they pull talent in?
Yes, and especially since they're finally building talent in these other areas. Not that they weren't there, but they're doing more. That's definitely good news. But wanted to share that with the audience. And last but not least, Xbox announced a new partnership with Twitch to make it easier to stream from your Xbox through the Xbox Guide. So it's going to be easier to literally hit the home button and select the live streaming option, go live now with your Twitch account linked up, and boom, you're there. So it actually looks pretty good, pretty intuitive, and I think this is a smart move because streaming is only growing. It kind of throws it back to the Xbox One era where they were big on like streaming with the Kinect camera and everything and integrating that. But this seems sensible, so it's good to see, and just wanted to put people on alert for that.
Yeah, long overdue, and again, it's kind of interesting to me because the end of an era of Mixer, but this is kind of them bending the knee because they say, hey, look, this is the de facto platform. This is where people are. You go where they are. And if you're going to be the box, you need that seamless integration to have Xbox games on the number one platform. So kudos on them to making the admission and making that process easy. And, Amazon and Microsoft, Azure and AWS working together a little bit,
We like it. All right, some write-ins from the audience here. We got plenty to get through in this episode. Thank you to everyone who writes into our show, where we're doing quite well nowadays. Uncam Talked is our first one. Hey, Lord Matty and Mr. Cognito plays. We've got an official casting for the Fallout TV show with the main character being played by Walton Goggins. Additionally, it is believed that Goggins will be playing a ghoul. There's not too much else to be said about this particular news bit, so I'd like to ask a simple little question. What do you guys hope to see out of a Fallout TV show? What setting? Should it follow the narrative of one of the games or be something completely new? With the main character potentially being a ghoul, I'm excited for the possibility of contrasting life before and after the bombs drop. Have a my mac and cheese is irradiated kind of day.
Nice. Yeah, I love Fallout. Yeah, man. I mean, the always experience for me is just, you're waking up inside the vault, the relationships there, and, the whole world post, apocalyptic, this kind of nuclear explosion thing. So I think there's potential. I think there's potential with the series. I think that, because it's that scary reality of what could happen, right? Like, World War, blah, blah, blah happens. And this could be that scary reality. And I like that stuff. So I don't know how I feel about the ghoul. I'm curious how you feel about that. I want to see how you feel about that part. But look, that's part of the lore. The super mutants and all that's part of it as well. So I want to know where they go. And I am actually very interested in that. And also a community life underground and like that part. I like that. I want to know how that works in a post-apocalyptic joint.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic, I would say, but it's a show that I'm very morbidly curious about. It's definitely one that I share the same sentiment as Unkempt Talk about. There is potential with a main ghoul character that, these are creatures that were so irradiated that they've lived for many years and their brains eventually rot. And there can be a humanizing story there as they kind of lose themselves. It's something that Fallout really never tackled with much tact, I thought. Like, you would have moments like in Fallout 4 where the Vault Tech representative, you'll meet him again in Good Neighbor if you stay the night at one of the hotels that are there. And it's a really cool moment because it's like, holy crap, all these years later after the bombs dropped, here he is, like 200 years later. Really cool. So there's a great perspective that can be provided there with a main ghoul character. I just hope they stay away from what makes the games, right? Which is you are the centerpiece of this universe, just saying bonkers shit. And it's really the supporting cast that lifts you up and how they respond to you and react to you, because they're all very human-like characters, or in some cases mutant-like characters. But I just hope it doesn't follow the narrative of one of the games. I don't think it will. The Fallout series isn't a stranger to good ghoul characters, though. Like, I think of Harold as one of them, who's been a mainstay for a while in the series. But it's one that I also, again, I mentioned at the start of this morbid curiosity, because I look at it and I go, who thought of this and said, this is the next thing we got to do for Fallout is a TV show?
Interesting.
It's just, right? Like, not the game, not that there isn't some type of game in development. We don't know that yet, but a TV show. I mean, the business sense is there, obviously. Like, oh, look at The Witcher. Let's have that same effect for Fallout. Okay, sure. I think Fallout Shelter kind of provided you guys that and put you all on the map on a more casual level, but okay, we'll do that. But for the consumer, for the fan base, I don't know what this is actually offering that, we really want from this series. But I'm open to it because, like, when you were seeing did you ever see the leaked set photos for The Witcher where they were wearing the trash bag armor sets?
Yeah.
Man, I was shitting on that thing left and right. And then the show comes out and it's actually pretty good. It's a little messy in certain points because they don't explain certain things to you. But
they all over the place timeline-wise sometimes. So you gotta catch,
But I'll keep an open mind because I don't want to say I was proven wrong with The Witcher, because again, I think there was a lot wrong with the first season, but it was way better than I expected. And these video game adaptations have improved. So cautiously optimistic, but this is a pre-Halo TV show world where I could see that and it could just wreck my shit. And I'll be like, you know what? Never mind.
The only thing I find interesting is that they're pitching a show. Where's the game? So
don't
it's
get
like,
me started.
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to get that over that can, but I was thinking, I'm like, it's interesting that they value it to that point that they want to get into entertainment and media. But where's the game? Where's the mainline Fallout game? Let's get that going.
Again, we got that list of Phil Spencer questions. Number one when he's here.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't care about the order, the cadence, the current events. It's like, Phil, where's Fallout? What's going on?
Where's the Fallout? Let's do it.
All right, let's talk with Paul asked next. Hey, Dukes. As a longtime member of Team Health is Wealth, I love finding ways to gamify my workouts. A few months ago into the pandemic, I got a Peloton bike for my house and haven't looked back since then. Last week, Peloton announced their first video game-based workout. It's an amplitude-style lane rhythm game that you control with the bike. It's not the best game I've ever played, but I think it's a cool step into the future of fitness instruction. Do you guys also like to game up your workouts, or have you tried any game style training programs? Thanks, Paul. We've talked about gaming up like our supplement routine, but have you heard of this? I thought this was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I have heard of it. The thing for me is like when he says game, shout out to Paul and salute to the Health is Wealth movement. What I like about it is I always try to include gaming in the workout because it's like, think of yourself as a character. You try to improve.
Yeah, I'm the same, man. It's so whack, but it works.
But it works. It's like you're leveling up. You're getting experience. Let me put one more of my strength attribute here. You know what I'm saying? My endurance is up. Like it's a fun thing. So with me, gamifying is more the music, the mindset, and bringing geek culture to it, right? And then the second part for me, I will give. I know we got to talk about the Xbox One episode again. Please watch it if you can. On Defining Duke Ultimate, was that Connect did a good job, man. Connect, I know people clown it, but they really did a good job with Xbox Fitness and a lot of their internal apps, and they made it fun. They really did. They were a step above the 360 Connect, and for now, like I said, I just try to implement the mindset is the best I do right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I really can't add anything to that because I do the same thing, character in mind. I put on the music that gets me amped from probably the latest games I'm playing or ones like historically I played. That's the trick. Because I used to try to be normal gym guy. I was listening to like 50 Cent. I love 50, right? But like, I tried to pump it up in the gym. I'll listen to a little heavy metal because I hear people in the gym like, I'm like, that's got to be the hype up music. No, man, it's video games. That shit works. Music. Throw on a Dark boss track. I'm putting out an extra set. Yeah, it's just fun. It's over.
I'm there. It's funny, especially like tough boss encounters and things that you went through. You like, I remember what I was doing. Yeah. I don't know what it is about video game music. It connects with me more emotionally during a workout, and I'm hip hop to the core. Yeah, and it's funny you said that. So it's like, I can't really do cardio to hip hop because I'm too busy talking the words, and then you out of breath. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't help but rap the whole time. The whole word you try to, nah. Like I can do that sometimes when it comes to lifting, but when it comes to what I'm talking about.
That's why it's so funny.
Listen, man, I can't do that. Like, so for me, it's funny because I listen to some real. Like, again, like I know right now Halo Infinite soundtracks on my joint right now. I got a lot of Tekken music. I'm a big Final Fantasy 7 nerd. Some of the boss encounters there. And like I was listening to Sephiroth's music, and it's just like it takes me to that place when you're in the mix and it makes me push through. It's weird.
Absolutely. No, it's not. I think it works. And legitimately, ladies and gentlemen, if you have an ego about it, you got to be the normal gym guy. Just throw on the game soundtrack. You'll be surprised how effective it is and how you connect to that moment.
Support the dance by the soundtrack.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Michael Buffalo's up next. I thought this writing was just hilarious. Hey, Dukes, since you guys are Mets fans, sorry about that. I thought of a good comparison to Sony and Microsoft. The Yankees are like Sony with a great history of success resting on their methods that have led to said success and cultivating talent from within. Aaron Judge might be the naughty dog of the team, while Gary Sanchez is the media molecule. Then you have the Mets. Less history, very little success, and ownership that never got it right. But then comes Steve Cohen and all of his money to just buy anything he wants to help him bring a championship to the Mets fan base. Francisco Lindor is his Zenimax, and Max Scherzer is his Activision. Hope you guys have got your tickets to opening day on April 1st, but the season won't start until June. Kind of day. I love this. I love this very personally tailored writing.
It was good, Mike. I like where you go with it. Not everything is one to one.
I don't think the Xbox are the Mets. They had way more success than the Mets.
Way more successful than the Mets. Xbox would probably be more closer to the Yankees on some level, but I understand what he's saying with the Yankee part to Sony on pedigree, but if you look at the way Xbox is operating right now, to me, they mirror the Yankees in the Steinbrenner era where it was just acquisition. They're getting this person, they're getting that. I remember when whoever was the biggest free agent, the Yankees were snatching.
Yeah, Tex, A-Rod,
whoever, Teixeira, Eddie the Big Pictures, they were acquiring. It was just that. But I like where he's trying to go with it, and there are some things here. But yeah, man. I mean, it's fun. I just like what Xbox is competing as far as from an acquisition standpoint, trying to improve. So I do like this because this is actually good fun. And look out for the Mets, though. Look out for the Mets.
They're coming. Whether the season starts in April or not, they're coming.
Nah, that's another story.
All right. We got 2 very kind write-ins that I wanted to shout out here as well. And then we'll get into our true beginning questions. First one goes to Jordan Feldudo, sorry. Maddie, I was listening to the last episode of DD when you told us about how the numbers dipped after Carrick left and how you took it a bit personally. I wanted to remind you how you got here and where you are now. You started an Xbox podcast on a platform created by someone who has solely associated with PlayStation's brand for close to 15 years. After waltzing into enemy territory, you planted your flag and began to set up shop. PC deals of the week, barely any write-ins, comments saying, if you want to be like Colin, you should. It wasn't an easy start. You pushed through, though. Losing Carrick was just like the high school girlfriend you thought was a forever thing, but then bails, saying it's her, not you. Then you meet the person you were truly meant to pair with, the greatest hype man since Flavor Flav, Lord Cognito. What I'm saying is you should be proud. DD has risen from the underdog to neck and neck with Sacred Symbols. Happy 60th episode. I can't wait to see what the show brings next. I just wanted to thank Jordan for this and many people who wrote in because it takes good people to just go out of your way to write in, because I had been over it for some time. Like I kind of left it in the past in December and tried to move on. But I just appreciate everyone writing in, not even about me, just about our show. It really meant a lot. And it's funny that they mentioned that if you want to be like Colin thing, because I completely forgot. For those who don't know and came in with Defining Duke, I started with side quest videos here on Last Stand. Like I remember emailing Colin because I heard him say that Sweeney and Chris were going to do YouTube videos. And I had a ton of extra time where I was like, well, let me just see if like Colin's interested. I was like, hey, dude, like I make a ton of videos. Like I'd love to have an avenue to talk about PlayStation games. You know, I can make videos for you if you'd like. Colin was all about it. I just sent him the videos. He titled them, upload them, and they'd be good to go. And a lot of the comments were constantly, who the fuck is this Maddie guy? Who the fuck is... You can probably go find them all. Like people were really against it. So yeah, there is a degree of waltzing in enemy territory that did occur that I completely forgot about. But just a little history lesson for those who started listening with DD and didn't catch those videos. But I thought that was really funny. And thank you, Jordan, for writing with that. It does mean a lot.
That's so dope. And a lot of it actually I didn't know. So it's cool for me to learn, you know, the history. And yeah, man, look, you stuck with it. And we're building something now special. I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad for people writing in and saying the kind words because, again, I know I get a lot of credit, but I always defer the credit a lot back to you, brother. Like, you really started something really special, and I love what we're building here. And it's cool to see people appreciate the origin stories to where it is, right? And that's dope.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. So it's a team effort. That's why, you know, like on a side note, like I'll say this much. Next DDU episode is an interview. And a lot of people are like, you know, Maddie, why didn't you do the interview by yourself like Colin? It's like, well, and this is no offense to Colin and how they operate their interviews, but I don't want to make this all about me. And I'm not saying Colin's doing that to make it all about him, but I want it to be a team thing. Like even, you know, we talked about adding a third person eventually. We don't know when that'll happen. But you know, like this is something that like, even when that happens, like I want the team on board. Like maybe sometimes one of us will have to bow out. Maybe sometimes I'll have to do an interview by myself or Cog will do it by himself. Like that's fine. But as often as it can, I want it to be about us, not just one of us. Because I think that lifts the whole show up.
No, I agree. And I love the flexibility there. And I also like it's a differentiator because at the end of the day, you know, everyone has their lane and it's cool. You know, everyone has to do exactly what the other person is doing. And I actually like that aspect of it. Yeah.
And again, it just speaks to, you know, why Last Stand works, which is we kind of run our shows the way we want to. So,
exactly.
You know, we don't have to do like what Colin does and Colin has to do. We do. So,
and we have the freedom to do it. So salute the Last Stand. Like it's so
absolutely. Cool. Absolutely. Defining Duke is brought to you by Chromadex. From head to toe, your body is made up of trillions of cells, which are busy performing their specific functions to keep you healthy and resilient. Now, a lot of you who listen to Defining Duke already know this, but for those who don't, I'm about the health is wealth lifestyle, as is Lord Cognito. So we thought that Chromadex's True Niagen was a perfect fit for our show. The foundation of this is a sufficient supply of an essential molecule called NAD+, which must be maintained for cells to perform their normal functions. And with True Niagen, a supplement that gives your cells what they need, it can address the non-visible signs of aging, like cellular energy production, which also helps support heart and muscle health. Since taking True Niagen, I feel at peace knowing it is researched by the top scientific institutions in the world. Right now, new customers can save 20% off on their first purchase by going to trueniagen.com/Duke and use the code Duke. That's TRUNIAGEN.com/Duke. Code Duke to save 20% off your first purchase. trueniagen.com/Duke. Code Duke.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All right, this one's for you, Cog. Brandon Stark writes in, howdy, gents. I'd like to shout out and thank Cog for getting me hyped for Destiny again. I've been playing on and off since 2014 and didn't see myself coming back for this expansion. As of the time of writing, I feel like a kid on Christmas waiting for the game to go back online with the new content. No question, just a fun thought. Thanks for reading and have a you're in a queue because the servers are at capacity on launch day kind of day. I mean, Cog, you get a ton of positive write-ins every week, but this one, man, I'd say you got to give yourself a tip of the cap because you're leading the charge on a little sliver of our audience that's all about Destiny. So you're getting them back in.
Yeah, man. I was surprised, to be honest, like how many people hit me up and was like, yo, I'm coming back. And they always do a smart thing with the expansion, and we'll get into what I'm playing and stuff like that, unless you want me to transition right
Let's
in.
transition. That's kind of what I was saying.
Right in. Yeah, it's perfect setup. So yeah, like it's always fun to see people hit me up like, yo, I'm thinking about coming back. Because the biggest deterrent when Destiny drops a new expansion is people like, yo, I hate feeling left behind. Right. And you guys are so much powerful. Your light so stronger. And I'm playing catch up, but no one wants to help me. And the beauty that they did probably about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, is just say, hey, when a new expansion comes out, everyone is reset at the newest light level and they're on the same level. And you can play together at the thing. Let me tell you right now, look, not exaggerating because I am a fanboy for this game, but Witch Queen right now, I'm about halfway through.
Okay.
This is arguably so far the greatest Destiny campaign I've played.
Oh, okay. Like, it's living up. Okay.
It is truly living up. And the thing about it that I love right now is one of the major complaints I've always had is they have this great lore, great story, all these characters, but I never got the sense of a connected universe all the time. Oh, no. This is their end game. This is Destiny end game. Savathun is here. Shout out to the voice actress, Deborah Wilson. Oh, my God. She is killing. I don't know if you've paid attention. She took over the Twitter account for Destiny account.
I saw that change.
She, let me tell you, every time she voices this character, bro, she makes you uncomfortable. She's cunning. You don't know what to expect. Like the way this was plotted and they schemed to take the light away from, they're using Guardian's own power against them. And the way it's written, and it's just, it's been building up for about a couple of seasons. They've really landed the plane. And now I'm playing a campaign. I will say that the other issue that most people had with it was that the campaigns always felt easy. You just smashed through it. So you never really felt a threat with the Taken King because it's like you just smashed through it until you got to the raid. With this, Legendary is the perfect difficulty. There is something to be said when you're fighting Hive Guardians and they're using supers that can one-hit you, and it's a challenge, bro. And I will say that the skyboxes, absolutely stunning. Like her throne world, Savathun, it's just decadent and it's amazing. And then there's some great twists and turns. I don't want to spoil too much. There's so much depth here. And yeah, they got it. Bungie did their homework. This is probably one of the most exhilarating campaigns. And I spoke to people who finished it. They said, Cog, they did that. So Witch Queen's out. Go pick it up. If you want to get back into Destiny, this is the time. Now is the time. You're going to be at light level with everyone. And hey, hit up your boy. We can help people out with strikes. The clan is almost at capacity. So if you hit me up, it might be too late at this point. But we fill up 100. We do attendance checks. Hey, you ever played 2 months? All right, boom, out.
I remember you saying that. Yeah,
so that's what it is. But
it's delivering.
You, on the other hand, have been playing something that right now the streets are talking critically acclaimed. Undeniable. What is this game you've been playing?
I've been playing Elden Ring. I got it last week. I've had it for 8 days, and I've already got about 55 hours in, which, I want to clarify for people. I've done those types of hours for games like I didn't like or wasn't crazy about. Like I think of Assassin's Creed games where I'd like just get to the end, and it would require a lot of hours. But this was like totally because I was absorbed. And I want to use this punchline because it resonated with way more people. Like I was actually seeing it being tweeted on my in my mentions. Like Maddie said this, which I typically never see that about myself. Like Maddie said that, but like even in the comments, it was used a lot. I said that this game I have not been hooked to one quite like this in Skyrim, and I genuinely feel that it is that same captivation that I never thought I'd experience again in a video game, where as I'm going around the open world, like with Skyrim, I remember being like a fucking like addict. Like I was itching for the next, like, where is the next thing I can discover? And like I'd use the map bar, and in Skyrim, you'd find like the next cave, the next story, the next encounter, the next faction. Like there was always a new thing presented to you, and every new thing didn't feel like it followed a template. It's why for over a generation, people followed Skyrim. It's why so many games to this day still copy Skyrim. It's why I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I want to say it was, before it came out, was saying we're going to be bigger than Skyrim. Like it was that definitive of a game. And that's why when I said Skyrim, I was happy to see people were like understanding what I was getting at with Elden Ring being that type of game. Because the biggest compliment I can pay it is a true culmination of everything From Software has worked on. They have spent years teaching us lessons, right? In Bloodborne, be aggressive. In Sekiro, patience and deflections, movement, stealth. In Dark Souls, of course, that's the definition of patience. And what we didn't realize is with each of these games, the design of them was teaching them something as a developer. It was, I think Demon's Souls was about art and atmosphere, of course, challenge, but I think the real master of the challenge was in Dark Souls, where there was interconnectivity in a somewhat open world area in the first game. Nothing quite like it. And then Bloodborne said, go at your enemy, and your enemy is going to come at you just as fast. And Sekiro taught them how to do movement. And all of this pools together in this magnum opus open world that is Elden Ring. It is this triumph of game design that just melds everything they've learned for over a decade into one title, where there's inspiration oozing out everything. You'll see the castles of Demon's Souls, the gothic-like towers of Bloodborne, like from the art to the execution, like it's all there. And it's incredible. And it's a really a true feeling of what we always hear Todd Howard say of, see that, go there, something's there.
Oh,
truly
love that.
Beyond the horizon. And what's beautiful is, I highlighted this in my review as well, the game begs you to do a thing that no other game is doing. And it's so stupid, I got to say this. Use your eyes. Use your fucking eyes. You don't have to look at your mini map. You don't follow a waypoint.
I love that.
You literally just look at the world and you'll see a thing and go there. And since there's danger around every corner, I think that's why the design inherently has you looking, because you're looking for danger. You're like, I don't want to get snuck up on and killed. And this game's tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's an amazing game, but it's tough. But that danger is what makes the world so fun to explore. When you find a cave, you're like, all right, let's see what we got in here now. Let's see what we have. And you'll find a boss at the end. You're like, shit, this is hard. But at the end, they reward you properly. It's that, I wouldn't even call it a cycle, because a cycle demands repetition, like a beginning, middle, end that keeps repeating. What's most fascinating about this game is it uses very little templates. And anything that they do use that's reused, like I'd say a dragon fight, are totally different by design with every dragon fight you encounter. They all fight you differently, use different abilities. I'd say the most reused asset they have is the catacombs, which are still incredibly rare. But this game follows no template. It defined its own. It's literally its own thing. And that's why, like, these reviews for some may be like a moment of, there's just no way. In fact, Colin was talking in our personal Discord about like, there's just no way. And I was telling him like, way, like it is absolutely that good. It is absolutely that good. It is, it is going to be I'll say this right up front.
Let's go. No
hyperbole. Again, I've had a lot of time to play the game, think about it. It's going to be hard to budge this game off a Game of the Year list for a lot of people. Like, it's at least going to sit in the top 3 for many lists. Prepare to hear about it for many years. This is kind of the Breath of the Wild moment. Like, and I know a lot of people get tired of hearing about that game. I understand. But this really is that on a level that will be followed and replicated for years to come. Fortunately, not in a fucking art style, but hopefully in design. In a way where it's like, here's how you, like, we saw inklings of this. Apparently, I haven't played it yet. Horizon Forbidden West did a little bit of this, where you see this, you go there. We also saw Ghost of Tsushima do it in a really great way. That's why that game really clicked, right? Because it wasn't constantly waypoint checking you. It was using the world and guiding you with the wind. Like, that is where open world games are heading. And if they continue to go that way, and Elden Ring's design is followed and at least emulated in some way, we're going to be in a good spot. I think we're going to start to see a much more improved genre.
So,
it's so
question
good,
before, I'm sorry not to cut you, but
no,
you got me thinking. Like, do you think it's like a moment, like an inflection point on open world game design, or do you think they just did it better than everyone else?
I think it rewrites open world design. I really do.
Wow, it's a moment then.
I really do.
Okay.
Because what it does is what I wish so many games did when they transition to a new genre is one of my worries going in was, are they going to leave behind what made these games so popular in the first place, which is the meticulous, handcrafted dungeons, the secrets around every corner. And you still have those narrowed down dungeon experiences that are very Dark Souls, Bloodborne, that you've come to know and love. But what's amazing is they somehow in that point A to point B travel also have those little moments of, hold on, there's some ruins over there, and that's an enemy I've never seen before. And oh, there's a stair set in these ruins, and it leads to a locked door. And oh, I have the key that I just found nearby. You unlock the door. There's a random boss that's a shadow in here, and behind the door of this shadow is a secret spell that I can't get anywhere else. Like, there are so many moments that really will, and you won't know it till you play it. There are moments that you'll see where you go, that was side content, ? Like, you were, again, I know it's going to come across hyperbolic. I'm not going to get over defensive about it because I absolutely stand by it. Like, this game will, if it will develop patience for people because they will love what they see so much. They will love what they're experiencing so much. They will want to get through it. And I put, again, on the scope of this game, I think it's worthwhile noting with the hours I put in, I genuinely don't feel close to done. Like, main side content. I have friends that are ahead of me and they're not close to done. They're in like the 70-hour area. This is you want to talk about an impressive game. I'll be with this one for a while.
All I will say is, as a guy who is not a Souls guy, I knew that if they execute this had the potential to be outstanding. And the consensus is what you are saying, that this is a moment. This is excellence. Damn it, I might have to try.
I'm telling you, man, it might be worth it because it really is a moment. And it's one that I think I'll always remember. Because again, as a critic, like, some games are just another review. And I don't mean that like I treat them differently, but there's a hype level. And when I was playing it, you could even tell amongst the press, like usually people in YouTube and press circles mumble and murmur and you hear things as the process goes along. This game was so good. There was like an astute respect for FromSoft on like a leak front, on a conversation front. Like, the effort level across content and reviews and thoroughness was higher than I've ever seen. This game brought the best out of everybody too, which is something you don't see.
Last point I'll say, this game was very much hyped. There was a lot of pressure on this game too. Let's be clear. Yeah. A lot of pressure coming in, but
a rare moment of true delivery.
Yeah. Salute.
So every game has to be on watch now because Elden Ring has arrived.
Elden Ring's outside, y'all. Y'all heard it here first. Mr. Batty Plays.
Oh, yeah. So we will see what the audience thinks. I'm looking forward to some write-ins on that. Now let's talk more with the audience. Start off with Ricky Pontes, who writes in, "Hey, Dukes. So this past week, Ubisoft has just announced that they are open to any potential acquisitions, which got me thinking, is this a new normal for the time being? Platinum Games is doing it, of course, but I'm wondering who is going to be next to say, hey, we're open to it also. I truly feel this is a horrible decision that the gaming industry is going towards, and it's unfortunately the inevitable. What do you guys think? Do you think anyone else will openly say this? I mean, I know Sony wants more, but we also know Xbox does. Anywho, have a lose your favorite IP to Sony or Microsoft kind of day." Thank you for writing in, Ricky. So, Cog, I mean, I just thought it was fascinating to hear another team go like, yeah, we're cool with it. We're cool with it. When we see this money being thrown around, of course we're cool with it.
Everybody's talking, man. It's like I said, we're in a new era, 2022, starting off crazy, right? With already the two mega moves and things else we're going to talk about later. But it's the way I met it. The way I'm always a person that thinks I'm more of a realist in the sense of like, you got to deal with the trends and the inevitable. And
sure,
I know that there are situations that we have to be very cognizant of that could lead the industry in a way that we may not see right now, right? And I'm aware of that, whether it be from an independent game developer standpoint, from a AA standpoint, that if everything gets consolidated, that some people are not going to survive if they're not in the subscription model, right? If they're not selected, hey, guy, my game's good enough to be, but, you're not picked. So I understand that. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's all sunshine and rainbows and everything is perfect. There are some things you have to look at from a long-term standpoint and be concerned. But again, when we talk to different developers and we talk to people and you look at the overall health of the industry, right? Mm-hmm. And if you say Ubisoft, well, some people will be like, yeah, we don't care. But I'm just saying, if you say Ubisoft, we'll say you're going to go away, right? You're going to say Bethesda, you're going to go away. You can't financially sustain yourself. And now Bethesda is poofed out of existence. Bungie, you can't sustain yourself. You're poofed out of existence. To me, it's the lesser of the evils. They have to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Long term, so that everyone can try to basically survive and sustain themselves in the subscription model that it looks like it's going. But to me, I still think that's a better alternative than studios going away. I'm very passionate about companies I love, and you're like, damn, what happened? They were on top of the world, and the Midway's acclaimed. You hear this, just so many. Like, what happened to that studio? And I don't want that. I'd rather my games live to fight another day. That's just where I'm at, man. So I'm always going to be on that. But to Ricky's defense, I understand the concern, and I understand people like, yo, I don't know, y'all. We got to see. I get that. And I still have my eye open to that mindset as well.
Yeah. We're going to see this more and more. And now that companies are seeing the money float around, it's funny because does Platinum Games look as desperate now that Ubisoft has come out and said the same thing? I think Platinum does, just given their original begging of Scalebound and their current situation clearly not being that great, that they do look a little bit more desperate, where Ubisoft is more like, yeah, we're open to it, but we can still stay independent. And I believe them. You've got Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. Both these games are moving towards service models, and they have for a while, and their fans have gladly ate up the microtransactions that those games are polluted with. They're teamed up with Nintendo for Mario and Rabbids. I think they could stay independent. Do I think they will, though? I don't think so. I think they're I always thought they were one of the next to fall. So this would have, honestly, Ricky, been my pick. If anyone was going to come out and be like, we're going to sell, I actually would have said Ubisoft. Beyond that, though, it's hard to tell because Kyle, you've brought this up, so I don't want to completely steal it from you, but there is a lot of pride in these Japanese companies. And I think it'd be foolish for us to be like, oh, Square, oh, Capcom. There's a pride there that they don't want to go down that way. Not that they won't sell, but I don't think they're going to publicly do that type of stuff as a publishing arm, by the way. This is different from Platinum, which is more of an independent developer, but they're trying publishing, but hopefully people get my point. But yeah, it's an interesting direction. I think it's a fun direction because, again, I'm a sports fan, so I'm just like, who's going where? And actually, we have a news bit here that kind of functions like a sports transaction where a studio was extracted by Tencent out of another publishing arm, where we have now learned you can buy these companies, developers underneath the publishing arm, if you so please. So that is something that we will talk about thoroughly here in this episode. But for now, let's move on to number 2 with, hi, I think I'm real. Hey, Slitterheads, I have a fun one for you, boys. You have the opportunity to forget and re-experience your favorite game for the first time again, but at the cost of living one full week without wearing any clothing, no towels, figs, or anything to cover up. Would you take the deal? What game would you be willing to endure it for? Thanks for the content, and hope you have a no toilet paper in the public bathroom kind of day. I had this at my girlfriend's house the other day, man. It was her house. I was there and there was no toilet paper. She has a bidet though. We were good. But I was like, I text her because I'm sitting there. I'm like, yo, where's the TP at? And she's like, all I hear is through the door. Oh my God, I have none. I was like, what? No toilet paper? So
you
I had the wet butt. I had the wet butt.
Shout out to y'all bidet users. Yeah, listen, well, that's where it actually comes into play, and it's a safe. So I give you that.
It was a hose unlike anything else. All right, so you taking the clothes off for Destiny 2?
You know what's funny? I thought about it too. Yeah, I had to get butt naked for Destiny.
Really? Destiny? Okay.
Yeah, you know why? Because at first I was like, oh, I'm going to go Halo. I'm going to go Tekken.
Right.
But I got to be real. I got to start really. No, XCOM is worthy.
Okay.
They're butt naked worthy. There's no doubt. This is the Butt Naked Chronicles, right? That's what we're doing? All right. So listen, as much I've never played a game like Destiny. I gotta give Destiny its flowers. Enough of me downplaying it, like it's this thing that everyone hates. This game is love. This game is love. This game is still going strong. I've never seen a game like this. I'm playing a game. What is it? 20? When did this game launch? This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10. I am playing a game that I've never played. 10 years strong, and when I pick it up, it's like you fall in love all over again. The shooting mechanics, the story, and they're at the pinnacle. So to his point, I wouldn't be who I am without Destiny. Literally, Iron Lord's podcast wouldn't exist without Destiny. I don't meet Ebontis because of Destiny. Addict, one of my best friends, we became friends on Xbox Live because I just said, yo, just try it. And if you try it, I'll buy it. If you hate it, if you don't like it, I'll buy it. Like we did an Assassin's Creed Unity Destiny trade at the time.
Oh, Unity, wow.
Yeah, and he was like, you play Unity? Sorry, cool. And if you play it and you like it, we got to rock. We've been friends. Iron Lord Podcast creates because of that, right? Bond's just my host for The Last Word. I've met so many people in real life. Destin Gary and just so many content creators that in Fallout Plays we just had on. Like, I owe so much to Destiny. Like, I really do. And I got to give it. I know it's not popular for some. And I know some people can't stand it. But I'm getting butt naked for Destiny, straight up. So you had to deal with me in the buff.
Yeah. No, man, that's no problem. You're in great shape. So
what you doing? What you dropping it like it's out for what? That's what I want to know. What you doing?
It's a lot of options, huh? Of course, KOTOR is on that list, right? Like just and for me, it's not even like a life impact. It's like, oh man, I could kind of just play that again and not know a thing and just and know that I would eventually replay that game like 30 more times. Like, oh man, that would just be great to know that I could go in completely blind to that game, not know about the twist, the infamous KOTOR twist, and just experience that. I'll always remember that moment as a kid. So yeah, there's that. But you got me thinking on the career level too, and I'm like, what game had that impact? And it's so funny.
Think about it.
I might get naked for Fallout 4.
That's what I'm saying. Let's go. I was like, if I don't hear Fallout or one of the Elder Scrolls, we gonna talk.
Yeah, no, I think it's got to be Fallout 4 because, well, it's not my favorite out of everything BGS made. Actually, Skyrim. I'm sorry. Let's roll it back a little bit. Let's roll back to the true impact here because Skyrim was the game that got me started with all of this. I remember little backstory here. I remember sitting down in my computer class and I was ignoring my schoolwork because I would reread the same Skyrim previews like every other day in class because I was just obsessed with this game. I couldn't wait. I would just see if there was any new screenshots, gameplay details, anything at all. And that's all I did. And then it came out. Made some rare weapon guides. I remember like coming in my room, my email was hooked up to my YouTube account. So all I heard was like the boof, 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 like the updates coming through because so many people were commenting and liking the video. And they used to send you an email notification for each of those. So I was like leaping up and down in my bedroom. And little I know that was the start of everything. If I didn't cover Bethesda there, then it didn't lead me to Fallout 4, which then eventually with how far Xbox has reached with all the other Bethesda-like games I covered through Exile, Obsidian, that I would be doing a lot of Xbox content. So that really was in a spiderweb-like way, that moment where like, yeah, probably more than KOTOR, if I'm talking about a life impact. Skyrim's the butt-naked game, if you will.
That's the fun. Listen, the way you just described, and that's why I know we both said the correct choices, because the way you just described that with Skyrim, I remember going to Reddit posts, Destiny the Game, Crucible, and I'm reading the minutia on weapon rolls and perk combinations, and this is a god roll and that, and I'm writing this stuff down, and I'm playing in my app outside of the game, and I can't wait to test this build when I come home. Like, that's when you know, when the game transcends outside of the house, and you're still thinking about it, and then on top of that have an impact on you as a creator. By far, it's that. So we both made. I think
in some time, I could see Elden Ring like entering that list because what you just mentioned about the like being away from it and thinking about it, it's not just being away from it, but when I was waking up this last week, man, it was like a trance. Like I woke up and I was like, oh, I gotta fucking work today. I love my job, but I was like, I need to go play Elden Ring. And like, I would try to think of ways I could cheat some time. And I was like, this is bad. I was like, this is bad. I've never liked this.
When you don't want to do real life responsibilities, and you sit there, like I literally forced myself to go to the gym. Yes, it was the day before because I was sick. I really should have stayed home, but I was like, you know what? I know what's about to happen. Destiny's gonna drop. Let me get this in now so I can at least have gotten in some work this week because I know how I get with that game. And there's only certain games that do that to you. So yes, that's to throw it up, drop it like it's hot game.
Yeah, there we go. Defining Duke is brought to you by Manscaped. Can I just get a round of applause, everyone? Because today, I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not-so-private parts. I'm talking about a leveled-up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. This is an all-in-one skin and hair kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code DUKE. I love my Ultra Premium collection because it's taking care of me from head to toe. We know how essential the Lawnmower 4.0 is because of that precise trim that you need. It was just Valentine's Day, but the missions change. They always do. You need to keep up on that hygiene. Keep yourself clean, smelling well, because ladies and gents, that's not your last rodeo. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code DUKE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code DUKE at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle, thanks to Manscaped.
Number 3 goes to Raymond Stewart, who writes, and hey Dukes, in regards to Xbox needing more shows like Nintendo Directs, personally, I want to hear more about what's going on, just like everyone else. But I have some concerns. I'd encourage you to go back to Maddie's video on Gamescom 2021. This man went to the archives, and I had to defend myself on this a little bit, or not even defend myself, but rather admit defeat here. He says, Maddie was less than impressed, quote, it was something, end quote. The issue is one of expectations. Rarely does Nintendo come out with their directs pleasing everyone. People are always disappointed by not seeing their games or seeing genres they don't love. Fans and content creators are so hard to please, it just feels like the better approach is 1 or 2 big preview events and then have dedicated videos leading up to launch like they did with Forza Horizon 5. So you are on record of wanting more shows. How does Xbox keep expectations in check and not generate negative, pardon me, I'm burping a lot this show, negative feedback from disappointed fans? Or is this a case where less is more? Have my mom threw out your entire video game collection when you went to college kind of day. Why are moms doing this, man?
Moms be foul, yo. Moms do that.
Yeah. I saw a video on TikTok my girlfriend showed me one time where someone, their whole Pokemon collection was like given away to Goodwill, and these dudes were like saying, go to Goodwill right now because like college kids are moving out. So like in September, it's a good time to go to Goodwill because people are just getting rid of cards, and you'll find these packs of like $100 worth cards in like $1 Goodwill package, and it's just insane. All right, so we talked about this at the end of last week's show. We were like, hey, we should have a conversation on this. Funnily enough, Raymond wrote in saying like, hey, let's set this up. What's going on here? I'll start it off just because I am mentioned in this, and I definitely am on record of saying in the Xbox Gamescom show, like trashing it. I've trashed pretty openly the gameplay showcase. So I definitely get why it sounds like, well, why would you want more shows from Xbox? And the way I look at it, Cog, and I'm sure you'll probably end up agreeing, is we're entering a time with Activision Blizzard King, Zenimax, Xbox's first-party studios they already own, where I feel like there's coming a time where all these games are going to deserve the attention. Like, you can't tell me that, as much as I love Starfield, you can't tell me that it deserves more attention than Avowed, Obsidian's attempt at Skyrim, and more attention than Hellblade 2, this transition from indie to AAA with insane production values and perfectionists at Ninja Theory, to a game with Xbox legacy, like Fable, being handled by Playground, arguably your best studio in a lot of ways. Like, each of these games deserve their moment to be shown off extensively. And when you look at things like studios having preset cadence, Todd Howard, big showcase for his game, whether it's something we know like Fallout 4 or Fallout 76, like these new things in these well-known series, to something like Starfield, I doubt that's going to change. How do you fit that in while also doing all of these other games that deserve attention? And I'm like, well, you guys need maybe not a regular monthly show. I don't think it needs to be that mandated, but you guys need a show that you can say, hey, let's call it Xbox Direct. Xbox Direct is coming, and it's going to be March 2nd, and we're going to talk just about Starfield this episode. Hey, we got a 20-minute Xbox Direct coming in April. We're highlighting third-party deals and indies. Hey, we got a May Xbox Direct coming. We're showing off the next trailer for Hellblade 2 alongside some other third-party deals. And then we could do a Game Pass Direct. Like, I feel like Xbox is going so wide now with all of these companies. And when you get into that cadence of potential rolling quarter first-party games between Bethesda, between Activision Blizzard, Xbox's first parties, third-party deals, day one Game Pass deals, there's so much to talk about. You need a platform to support that. So Raymond's right. I bend the knee. I did trash these older showcases, and I can understand why it's an eyebrow raiser where I was like, well, they should do a direct because that's more of a bad thing, right? But the thing is, I never had an issue with a direct personally. I shouldn't say never ever, but like I enjoy them regardless. The presentation, the setup, the anticipation, the knowing it could drop at a moment's notice and it's there and it's like tomorrow, direct 40 minutes. And you're like, yo, the whole first half of the year for gaming is about to be set. Xbox has the power to do that. I don't know if they do it well on a presentation front, but they have the power because they have so many first-party games at their fingertips, plus third-party relationships, plus Game Pass, that I feel like it's a no-brainer for them to take this ball and run with it because they can sort of set the new industry standard with all that they're doing. So that is my say on how Xbox can do a show. How do they keep expectations in check? You got Aaron Greenberg on the case, man. He's got this on lock. He's always checking expectations. So let Aaron do his thing. But Cog, let me dish it to you. I've defended myself enough. How do you feel about Xbox Direct? In the meantime, I can hear you. I'm going to turn off the heat because it is hot.
Go for it. Yeah, it's hot. It's hot. Do what you got to do. I listen, I agree with mostly a lot of what you said. I think that you just listen, for the record, I am a huge fan of the big show that Xbox does. I like the E3-like event. So when they do the Microsoft Bethesda conference last year, I like those meaty 90-minute shows of games. And it's an event for me. It takes me to a place of E3. And I love that type of stuff. I love the fanfare with it. But to Maddie's point, we talked about all this consolidation. We talked about all these studios. And then we're talking about, the original Xbox game studios that will start to bear fruit. And they're going to need their time to shine. The Avoweds, the Starfields, the Hellblade. Like it gets to a point where you can't just try to shove in a 15-minute, like a 5 to 10 minute thing and just breeze past. You've got to give these games attention, and I give Sony kudos. Like I liked, even though I'm not a Gran Turismo guy like that anymore, I like that they did a whole Gran Turismo breakdown. This is what you're going to get. Horizon, Forbidden West, here's a breakdown. This is what you're going to get. When it's their big banger, like they give it that treatment, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, I still think they keep the big shows. I do think they have to adapt, though. They're going to have to come up with some happy medium of filling in content because there's no way when these games start hitting that you're going to be able to pack all this stuff in a 90-minute show. Mm-hmm. And then what are you going to give us a 3-hour show once a year? Like it's going to get too crazy. So I think they have to figure out a cadence. I definitely don't want Inside Xbox. I'm sorry. I've never been a fan of Inside Xbox. No disrespect to the people. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not for me. It feels more like a marketing thing that I'm here for the games. I'm not necessarily here for the personalities. I don't want to see anybody. I'm just that guy. I mean, listen, people are like, hey, I don't want to see you.
You're nice like me right now. Keep going.
Yeah, like hey guy, take it away, Jim. No, I don't want to see none of that. Yeah. You know that stuff I'm talking about. Like I don't want to see that. Gamers want to see the game. You could show the person, and then after that, I don't want to see you again, and just show gameplay and talk about it in the background and wow us. And that's where I'm at. So I think they have to make an adjustment. An adjustment has to happen, especially with the Activision Blizzard King thing. So I'm with you, and I think this is a great question, Raymond, because we got to see how they handle it. This is one of those abundance of riches problems now, right?
Yeah,
you got to figure it out.
Well said. Yeah, so we'll see. I think it'll be something that they don't have to answer now, but I think they need to be in an active process preparing for this, because if they start to do kind of what State of Play did, where they're like, we're doing this thing, and it's just it feels so much like an afterthought. Like that's what you don't want, because I think PlayStation liked the formula but doesn't have the content to support it. Xbox in about a year and change should have the content to support it, and we're not accounting for other acquisitions that could, I don't think they will, but could happen in that time frame.
I do want to just push back on one. I do like when PlayStation does, like, for example, like Ghost of Tsushima sold me more when they did that when they do like their
stuff,
when it's
that's
the
good.
big
I like
release.
that.
I like that. Now, I'm with you on State of Play. I'm like, you know, all the time. But I like when it's a State of Play for just the one title, and you're close to release, and you give me the director breakdown. I'm like, okay, you're selling me. I'm in. I'm chasing the wind. I'm doing the alloy thing. I'm doing all the things you want me. I'm chasing foxes. Whatever you want me to. I'm in. So that part I like. So I do want Xbox to treat their AAA a little bit with that level of respect and reverence.
No, totally with you on that. Is that a PlayStation trophy flashing in the background, by the way?
Yeah, we got some little Sony love today.
You got the platinum trophy?
Yeah, we got the platinum. We got no, that's not the platinum. That's actually Xbox's achievement logo.
Okay. I can't see it just to the camera.
Yeah, but the PlayStation logo's underneath flash. So it's the PlayStation, and then it's the Xbox achievement trophy above the PlayStation thing. So Xbox fan, don't come for me. I got everything. I got everything. We got Nintendo Switch.
This is the gamer room, man.
It's the gamer room.
All right, next write-in goes to AnFam. Hey Dukes, with a majority of games nowadays are either free-to-play or vast open-world games, do you ever feel a drain from the monotony of gaming? If so, how do you deal with it? Me, I have a routine. I'll play a modern open-world game, then a small indie game, followed by an old linear PS3 game. This routine breaks it up and also helps with my backlog. For example, I just finished Odyssey, an Assassin's Creed game, finishing up Sifu, then I will follow it with the PS3 Simpsons game. I hope you guys have a muster up enough energy to do leg day, but forgot your headphones type of day.
Oh, that's real. Mm-hmm. That's real. That's a person.
I have forgotten my headphones before, and let me tell you, those workouts are not the same anymore.
I lost my power. It's like kryptonite, bro.
Yeah,
like you don't have your music.
So true.
I
hear too much. You hear too much.
I'll drive back home. Yeah. I've done it before.
I've done it before.
I can't do it.
Yep.
Salute the air fan. I love this question. Great question. I agree with him. I think that, you gotta. I call it almost like the palate cleansing game sometimes. Sometimes you just need that smaller experience, in between games. Shout out to we had Ariel Knight on for Never Year. He's got his game in Games of Gold, and it's a runner, and I don't really play runners like that. I've never really played a runner like that, and it was just fun. I was rocking the little tunes, getting my beat on. You know what I'm saying? And then you got that in between your major games and your Seafood, your Destinies, and all other stuff that's going on. So I agree. I like those type of games because I think sometimes I feel for you, Maddie, because as a reviewer of games professionally on your, on your channel, like you've got to go from like, okay, I'm doing this big mega blast to the next.
I'm already working on the next one. So yeah.
I feel you, bro. Like, I'm like, there's a part of me like, man, I don't know how he does it. Like he just endured Crossfire X and then he,
it's the less glamorous part of it all, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's fun. The part. That's the part. I got so much respect for you, so much respect for my team, lordsofgaming.net. Like these guys, that's why we try to disseminate. Like it's all just you. At least I got a team to say, okay, you didn't do this one. Like you, regardless if it's the big thing, it makes sense for you and your channel to cover it. And yeah, the palate cleanse is very important, I feel, mentally, between those type of releases.
Yeah, for me, Retro Rebound's been a really key part of the mental palate cleanse because I never in good conscience went back to old games. I'm like, I add it to the collection and hopefully I'll get to it. And I tried to do retro reviews on the main channel, Mr. Matty Plays, and it worked. Like I can do re-reviews of like modern games. Like those are fine. Like I've done it with BioShock. That was my first one. And since then, that was 2017. Like I've done a couple every year. So I can kind of satiate that desire to go back. But with Retro Rebound, like there are games that are on my PS2, on my Game Boy Advance, on my GameCube, et cetera, that I want to go back and play. Like I don't know without Retro Rebound if I'd be going back and playing Final Fantasy VI and beating it for the first time ever. But it's, again, it's stuff like playing that and then going into Elden Ring. It's like, holy shit, we've come far. It's just a testament also like Elden Ring kind of can restore a lot of people's faith in modern game design. But
true.
I digress. Again, it's a once in a generation type game, so I don't want to get too carried away with it because there's not going to be many games like it. But for me, that palate cleanser really comes in the form of having kind of like AnFam, an old game in the cycle, having something moving. Now, AnFam has a more regulated one, like modern, indie, and old, and I respect that. Yeah. That's a good one. For me, I don't think my indie cadence is super strong because I notice a lot of them can at times try to follow a template, like by doing like they'll pick a genre and then they'll always have like the one weird outlying thing that doesn't make sense to belong here, but they put it in there hoping it'll become meme potential. And I just that's why I appreciate games like Sable, where I'm like, you guys are just doing your thing.
doing what you wanted to do with your game. You're not trying to be something. You're trying to hit the Twitter feed. Like you're trying to just make a game. So my indie cadence is a little lacking. But when I dive in, like with I always forget the name of it, and it was a top 10 game of the year for me last year. You'd think I'd remember Unsighted.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's a game that's super unique. So
no doubt.
Shout out to the indie grind. But thank you for writing in, Amp Fam. And that's a little thought on our process. We'll get into our last question and then finally the news. This is what I missed, Cog, so I wanted to chat with you on it. BRG writes in, Yo, my Dukes. Did you guys hear that Nick from Xbox Era leaked Project Wormwood? It is an RTS game that's being made by one of Bethesda's studios. I know RTS isn't exactly exciting for most folks, but my most played Xbox 360 game was the Ubisoft World War II RTS called Ruse. So I'm interested. What Zenimax IPs would work well for an RTS game? Why is Microsoft putting out so many RTS games like Halo Wars and Age of Empires? Which, just on a side note, I think it's great that they're doing that because it's great that genre is being supported.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Dog. Yo, yeah. Shout out to Special Nick. That's the homie. I know him. Shout out to the whole Xbox Era. They're coming up on. I think they're coming up on like 200 episodes. They got a big milestone coming up. Salute to them, man. Great team. They run a great website as well. Yeah, like this is my first time hearing of it. Hey, ZeniMax RTS. Let's see what you do. Let's see what's going on outside. As far as to the question to VRG's question, as far as why they're putting out. I think you need the diversity in genre. I feel it's huge on PC, which is a market you're trying to put a stranglehold on, and you got to have those type of games. As far as what ZeniMax IPs would work well for an RTS game, that one I couldn't think of. I was just like, Fallout the Shelter. I mean, I really can't think of Elder Scrolls in that way. I don't know. I was like, I really was struggling thinking of a ZeniMax IP RTS. So I'm gonna lean you there. Like, I'm gonna defer to you on that one. Like, what do you think? Did you have a game in mind that maybe could work?
Absolutely.
Oh, let's go break it down.
Elder Scrolls. If they're not doing an Elder Scrolls RTS here, I don't know what they're doing. Because I think of let's think of their known IP first across the whole entire family. The Evil Within, Doom. Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, Dishonored, Fallout, Elder Scrolls.
Now you think about it,
like there's just none of them.
All the different territories,
at least on paper, none of them make sense. But Elder Scrolls, like by default, seems like the obvious choice. Unless it's a new IP, right? If it's a new IP, that's another thing. But with an Elder Scrolls RTS, the potential is there as well because of the lore. In my eyes, like when you read some of the books in the RTS, or I'm sorry, in the mainline Elder Scrolls games, like they define actual legitimate wars that occur throughout the history of Tamriel. And obviously I can't just summon one out of my head right now, but you can read about them. And in fact, if one thing I can say is when you look at Skyrim and you read some of the books that are clearly teasing where Elder Scrolls 6 is heading, which is Hammerfell, they kind of note this uneasy piece between the Thalmor, which is like the Dark Elves, the Empire, and as well as the citizens of Hammerfell. And so I could see like that turning into a big battle that Elder Scrolls 6 is centered around. So maybe making a game kind of highlighting these wars, these battles that occurred that display why tensions have rose. And of course, famously in Skyrim, there's the Civil War, like making an actual battle out of that. I would be very disappointed by default if this is not an Elder Scrolls RTS. So I just think there's a lot of potential here. And this is a pretty exciting leak that I don't think got much traction. I didn't even catch it. Like most times anything Bethesda leaks, like just by association alone, I get sent my way. I don't miss a thing with them. It's just I don't even have the choice to, but this one I did. So I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. The more I thought about it, I was like, nah, Maddie's right. It makes perfect sense. And then it reminds me, it's such a big name. You can bring it in any genre. And like you said, the history. And then I was even thinking about ESO, how, they went from different regions. There's so much lore. You could go prequel, you go so many directions where, and no, I agree. You nailed it.
Let's go. Welcome to the team. Team Elder Scrolls RTS. All right. We got news to get into, a lot of it this week revolving around Call of Duty, Xbox, BioWare. So let's get cozy and chat, shall we? Starting off with our number one item on the news list. If you're sitting, firmly grasp onto your seats. If you're driving, please do remain focused as the road on the news. Oh my God, I fuck up my jokes all the time. Why do I even bother writing them? Let's try it again. If you're driving, remain focused on the road, as this news may shock you so much it could cause you to veer off the road. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a Call of Duty delay for the first time in 2 decades. Word comes by way of Bloomberg with the exclusive report. It is said that the reasoning behind the delay of Treyarch's 2023 Call of Duty is due to internal expectations not being met with the series' most recent entry, Vanguard. It has nothing to do with Microsoft acquiring the company. The plan is to fill the gap with add-on content for 2022's Call of Duty, the sequel to Modern Warfare, as well as a new Warzone experience next year. The beneficiary of this delay is Treyarch, whose most recent foray in the popular FPS franchise was the co-development work on Vanguard, where they handled the zombies mode. So, Cog, this is not officially announced yet. Last time we talked about, the sequel to Modern Warfare, this new Warzone experience that was announced. But nothing yet on Activision's front. However, Jason Schreier, who did report this news, has been pretty accurate with everything that's occurred lately with Microsoft and Activision. So I want to tap you on the shoulder first here. How do you feel about Call of Duty being delayed? And while it's being said, reports are clearly saying this has nothing to do with Microsoft. Do we buy that? Do we think there's a factor at play here with Xbox being in the mix somewhere? Because they're not owned by them yet. Like, legally, they have no say on this. But do you think the knowledge of, hey, this is coming, we are independent now, but we are imagining we won't be soon, do you think they make this leap of faith knowing that a lot of people will be out by the time any damage is done with no Call of Duty for a year?
It's very possible. It's very possible. This shocked me, truly. I mean, we talked about it before, and we were like, the idea of them missing a year. But could they truly miss a year? Like, this thing is a cash cow, even on its down year, right, with Vanguard. It is still by far the number one selling video game. So I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I just think about the shareholders, the boardroom, and walking away from that money. And as much as I want personally as a gamer for the game to take a break and those developing studios to actually be able to do other things, I just was like, well, maybe that boardroom, I'm being too optimistic. The boardroom going to run out. I actually like this. Now, obviously the report says, that this was Activision, on Activision doing. But I kind of lean with you on some level too, which is like, okay, it could be, but you also, as Activision, could know you're about to be acquired, right? You also, as Activision, know that there's going to be a new day and that the former regime who wanted you to pump out them yearly is not going to be in power. And now you make this decision. I mean, we also have to look at the timing of this thing, right? This wasn't said prior to acquisition, right? So again, I can assume. That's all I can do. I can just assume what the information that's given right now. So right now, overall, I'm happy. I like this. I like this. Bro, you got Warzone. You got.
Yeah, we don't need it every year.
We don't need it every year. And from a development cycle, this is what gets me. What I want, why I love this, to switch gears just briefly, I want Madden to do this.
Yeah.
I want to take a break. I know it's easy for me to say it. I know the millions is coming in, but the game will benefit more when you have that bigger cycle. You could actually add more transformative features each time you come back, and then we can miss you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
that's all
a big part of it.
Yeah, you get burnt out, and it's just like, I love this. This is great news. I'm with you, Maddie. My gut tells me you can't tell me that there's nothing. I have no information, no concrete information. Yeah. But I feel, my feeling is that there's still a little bit of influence post Microsoft acquisition. But
yeah, I think it's really hard to imagine that an independent Activision says that they're going to delay their Call of Duty game. Why is that? I mean, well, the numbers are here in front of us. We just talked about this week after week that the number 1 and 2 best-selling games of the last year were Call of Duty Vanguard at number 1 and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which was 2020's Call of Duty, at number 2. This is important to note because Activision is apparently saying that Vanguard, the best-selling game of the year, did not meet internal expectations. Okay? If it's the number 1 selling game in that year, what expectations are they reaching for? And you're telling me that they're, as an independent company, gonna make this choice. It's for the better of the game. But come on, man. Like, absolutely, I think Xbox has a play in this. I think it might be a little risky if that is the case, just because you don't know if this gets blocked or not, and that's a dangerous play. But I think that's where we bring in part two, the acknowledgement that Call of Duty doesn't need to be around every year. Warzone has proven to them that's like, we can have a thing float around for a number of years and be supported and we're good. I think it also is a confidence statement in Infinity Ward. Like, hey, people love Modern Warfare. I wasn't crazy about the first reboot. Maybe I'll be more crazy about the second, but there is a cult following for Modern Warfare 2. That game, when they announced Modern Warfare 2, even I'll be checking it out because I'm like, I love Modern Warfare 2, man.
That's me. That's the Call of Duty.
Infinity War
Infinity War at their best.
Yeah,
by far.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's just something special about that game. I think it's because everyone was growing up at that time. Like, I was in high school. Everyone's got a moment in their life associated with Modern Warfare 2.
Yes, I learned what Prestige is. I was like, let's go.
So they know they got something probably. And it's like, well, we could support that for another year. Like, free updates for Modern Warfare 2. And honestly, I'm for that. Like, I'm for seeing what they can do with that because we already know, like, the Modern Warfare campaigns don't play around. And there's a certain part in Modern Warfare 2 that, I don't know if they're going to follow it tit for tat, but I'm wondering if they're going to revisit that by name alone, right? And again, this is coming from someone who didn't even play the first Modern Warfare campaign, so they could have changed a ton of shit that I'm not even aware of here.
You good. I'm
just running with it here. My point being, though, is I do think that they feel confident in Infinity Ward and in this series enough, whereas they should have been here a while ago, to support games for like 2 years instead of every year. Because there's not enough time to enjoy Call of Duty. It's like a rinse and repeat. Like, it comes out, it's the best thing. January hits, they haven't got an update out in a while. Fans get restless. It's bad. April hits, this game's terrible. June hits, there's the new COD. Oh my God, can't wait for this to come around. It looks like such a breath of fresh air. It was so regulated that people's reception of the game were also accelerated. Like, they were all moving to that I'm tired of this already point way too quickly. And look no further than Assassin's Creed. We talked a lot about Ubisoft. Look no further than Assassin's Creed. I know it's a far cry away from what it used to be, but that game series is doing better than it's ever had.
Yeah, facts.
There's a lot of hate videos on Valhalla, on Odyssey, on Origins to some extent. And honestly, I get it. I love Odyssey. I love Valhalla. And these are games that they're popular for a reason. And one of the big reasons was they stopped making them annual.
Yes.
Huge part of that success plan there.
I agree. Even with the direction change, I have to admit the quality improved once they got away from that cadence. You need a development cycle, man. And then in COD's case, they still got Warzone out there. Like, they'll be okay. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah,
man.
especially, when you got Warzone 2, whatever you want to call it, dropping next year. Do you really need an annual Call of Duty? That is your annual Call of Duty. Right. So I think the stars kind of aligned for them a bit.
And then they start to eating at yourself. You're competing with yourself. You're taking your own base away.
Yeah.
So you got it, man.
It's fine. That's actually a really good point, right? Because if you're releasing Modern Warfare 2, then let's say Warzone's even in the middle of 2023, ideally, then you got 6 more months to another Call of Duty. It's almost too much.
Too much, yeah.
So good points all around. All right, number 2 is far more interesting. Let's get into it. An SEC filing has officially presented the ins and outs of video games' biggest acquisition, Xbox's acquisition of Activision Blizzard King. The biggest revelation is the timing of the deal and how fast-moving Xbox was. For those who don't recall, a crippling blow was dealt to Activision leadership in the form of a bombshell report by Wall Street Journal on November 16th, 2021, that exposed the rot of the video game publisher to its core. 2 days later, on November 18th, 2021, Phil Spencer condemned these reports in an internal email claiming to be deeply disturbed and troubled by the events that had taken place, noting that Xbox was actively reevaluating their relationship with the exposed publisher. Then, the SEC filing shows that Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick's initial talks for the acquisition began just one single day later, on November 19th, 2021. The fine print says it all. Quote, in the course of a conversation on a different topic between Mr. Spencer and Mr. Kotick, Mr. Spencer raised that Microsoft was interested in discussing strategic opportunities between Activision Blizzard and Microsoft and asked whether it would be possible to have a call with Mr. Nadella the following day. The following day, Satya was much more straightforward, saying, quote, Microsoft was interested in exploring a strategic combination with Activision Blizzard, end quote. Furthermore, the document states that Activision Blizzard was in touch with 4 other companies and 1 individual, all of whom are not named, in addition to Microsoft, trying to work out some sort of deal. Ladies writes in saying, "Hey Dukes, in a filing to the FTC, it was confirmed that it was Microsoft who reached out to Activision Blizzard and not the other way around as it was being reported. In fact, Activision only contacted other companies well after Microsoft had made their offer. Does this in any way change how you guys feel about the acquisition? For me, it was, does this refute the idea that if it wasn't Microsoft, it would have been someone else who clearly, since Microsoft is the only one who is initiating the conversation? Also, since Kotick was losing leverage with the board and was only allowed to stay because of the payday that was coming for them, it begs the question whether or not he would have been forced to leave eventually, although we cannot know that for sure. Wonder what you guys think. Thanks as always for the great content. Thank you for writing in, ladies." So, Hi, this was huge, I felt, because it was, it confirmed a couple of things that we were speculating on. I wanted to write the record. I went back and listened because I know there was one point I was pretty adamant about something. I was trying to recall what it was. I listened to our episode called Xbox is buying Activision Blizzard. And it was there that we said that that Activision had approached Xbox, and that was incorrect. And I said I said it. Cog was like, "Say it again." I said it again. So I wanted, we put our chest out on it, and while we were saying what reports were saying, I still want to be accountable for a mistake on our show. So I just want to put that out there, correct us, because some people are trying to correct us that this was in August, which we were adamant about saying like, no. This was very, very much a quick deal put together. This was like November. So that we were right about, but I wanted to write the record on that. Cog, let me dish it to you. What do you make of these brand new revelations?
Ooh, new information. Cog likes new information. Cog likes nuanced and informed opinions. I'm always going to stand on that, even when the new information goes against what I initially thought was reported, right? So here's the thing. I think overall, it doesn't change too much for me. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. At the end of the day, I look at this as corporations are going to cooperate, and an opportunity presents itself, and you can say whatever you want, public facing, to make things sound admirable and honorable, and that's fine. But the SEC filing is what the SEC filing is, right? So we have it now. So this is my thing. I think at the end of the day, they saw an opportunity Microsoft saw an opportunity that they were not going to come across in any other type of normal scenario. And they're like, we have to strike now. Now, the question comes down to morality. Like, if you feel this is a moral thing and you have a problem with, a company saying, hey, we, condemn blah, blah, blah for their actions and what's going on. And then 2 days later, the phones picked up, deals are made, right? That to me is the reality of the business, sadly, and that's what people have to understand. Not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying if the information the new updated information that we have is said to be true with an SEC filing, and it was a day after condemning, then okay, well, maybe it wasn't as morally upstanding as we thought, because you went in there, you called and made, and I understand that too. You know what I'm saying? So as far as the second part, I still feel that at the end of the day, the other entities, whether it be, Microsoft that reached first, and then Activision goes out and say, yo, we selling, big bet. Let's see if we can get a better deal. Let's see, whatever, right? I still look at it as a situation. It doesn't really change anything, because to me, if people were interested, they'll bid, right? And you're trying to raise the price up. You're trying to get it's more favorable to your thing, regardless to whether or not Kotick is leaving or not. It still went out to other people. So it doesn't really change anything more than the reality of the business and how things work when there's vulnerability and people are like sharks and they're going to swoop in. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel that happened here. But I'm curious on your take on it, because it did change. Because initially we did think, at least it was reported at the time, that it was Activision that went out. But now we're hearing this. So I'm curious for you, did this change your view on the whole situation?
I never really bought the kind of hogwash that Phil was like being an angel and coming and saying, we're going to clean up this whole mess for $68.7 billion. Like, there was no way they were coming in just to be the good guys and save the industry. Like, there was clearly a lucrative business opportunity here. outside of Call of Duty, there's a plethora of IP they get. There's a ton of studios they get, both, I'd say, first party and high AAA production value and support studios. Like, there's a lot of value there. So I saw some people saying like this looks bad for Xbox. I don't really agree because, again, like you kind of put it, Cog, it's the reality of the business, but this was them being smart. And I know we try not to evangelize Microsoft too often here. I think we do a good job of not doing that, but we got to take a real look at, if EA gets them. I imagine EA was one of the suitors. I don't know if PlayStation was one of them, given that Phil said publicly, like, yeah, I had to call the Sony spokespeople to like assure them we're not doing anything with Call of Duty. If PlayStation was in, maybe they would have known the ramifications of said deal, but maybe not. But to me, I just feel like this looks awkward because of the internal email being deeply disturbed. It's like, how disturbed are you if you're picking up the phone saying we want to buy you the next day? But I think that's where we have to get into. This is the beauty of podcasts. There's nuance. Like, I think, yes, it was a clear business opportunity for them to make a lot of money in the long run, to supplement Game Pass, yada, yada, yada. Everyone's heard the rigmarole before.
Yeah.
I do think there is a degree of like, hey, if we clean this up, more people will want to join us. More people want to work with us. I think there's an optical point of view here that is a huge win if they nail this, which again is a big if. It's a gamble, but I think it's a wise gamble to take because the minimum is we've got Call of Duty. That's like the bare minimum. We've got COD. Every copy of COD sold is going to get us money, which is the best-selling game ever. And every download through Game Pass will only enhance that. More people are going to sign up than ever before for Game Pass. That's great. So at a bare minimum value for what they're paying for, they are winning. And then there's, again, the too many bonuses for them to ignore. So I understand the sentiment that, okay, this looks bad. They say one thing, they do the other, but it's, look, we got to give the Dukes the credit. We've been saying for a while, we love the team at Xbox, but there's a messaging thing here. They talk out of both sides of their mouth. It's about saying what you want to hear, not what you need to hear, right? It's the opposite here. We say what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but it's it's different for Xbox, right? They're a company, they're a public facing brand. And so, sorry, Kyle, you were about to say something?
No, I think what we have to realize is that corporations are still going to look for the best opportunities out there for themselves.
Yeah, because people won't care at the end of the day if they get a really good game.
It's like if we're treating this like friends and relationships in real life, where it's like, yo, that's my mortal enemy, right?
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't work like that in business. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, they're not gonna respect Microsoft for that. And I get that. And they have every right to say, yo, I ain't feeling that. 1 minute you said this, then you did this, right? I get that. All I'm saying is, in this case, again, public facing corporation, you can put out the PR statement, but the action showed that you did this. And I understand it. And all I will say is, to your point, what you said beautifully, which is that when it comes down to now the long-term ramifications, let's say you take the black eye, right? For now, this comes out. Take the black eye. You're like, oh, you did a day after, whatever. But if it's on you now to do due diligence to make yourself really look like the savior by cleaning this thing up because of that, right? And if the end result is now Activision is still going to be in a better position, they're out of a yearly Call of Duty cadence, they're down, studios are able to do other things, the end result is still better. And I still stand on that one. I still stand on the part that I still like that the acquisition happened because in my opinion, that is the best suitor. So I'm still for it. It's just that people's moral compass, this is going to affect certain things. And I get that. And there's nothing wrong with that also.
I agree entirely. And again, I think the best chance that we see a cleanup in Activision is through Xbox. And I think the real test here is like, okay, we don't know because we can only speculate if the deal was also made because of the optical benefit of like, hey, we cleaned them up. But what we do know is that Phil is saying like, they're going to answer to me once the acquisition's done. Like they're coming to me. So yeah, right. They didn't say that for Zenimax. Zenimax was very clearly kind of like independent doing their thing. But for Activision, it was like, they're going to answer to me once this is done, kind of chest out, like this is our product and we're going to own them. A lot more control there, a lot more oversight over there. Kind of the bad child. The bad child's run away too many times.
That was not like the other deals where it's like, we want them to create what they want to create. And, like it was, the energy was different. And that we all know these statements are parsed, right? These statements that PR and legal, they go through these statements before they hit that public. There is intent with every word and also the order of the words, which we learned from Hogue. What they put first is what they're trying to convey the most out of it. Always keep that in mind too. So I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that in mind, like the fact that it was said at all, let alone pretty high up in the post, means that there's a different order of operations here. And I think there is a degree of cleanup work that they want to make a priority to get the best out of this business transaction. So I'm right there with you, Cog. I think there is a moral compass that is respected and understandable, but this is a business being a business, and I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not.
No, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, not surprised, to be honest.
So anything else you want to say, or shall we move on to number 3?
We good. Let's move on.
All right. Number 3. Again, if you are sitting, firmly grasp onto your seat. If you're driving, please remain focused on the road, as this news may shock you so much you could veer off the road. For the first time since 2014, with the release of Persona 4 Arena, Persona and SMT developer Atlus is bringing a JRPG to Xbox day and date. This week, Atlus unveiled Soul Hackers 2 to the public in the form of a brand new trailer. Soul Hackers 2 is a spin-off to the Shin Megami Tensei series, and that has laid dormant since 1997. Its sequel is set to arrive August 26th, 2022 on Xbox, Steam, and PlayStation. Cog's crying over this news. I love it, man. Whereas the trailer description puts it, there is a war between devil summoners, and it's up to Ringo and her team to decrypt destiny and save the world from apocalypse. Don Otaku writes in, "What's up, Dukes of Definition? I love that you guys have been on Xbox's ass for missing out on Japanese games that come to every console except Xbox, and today, we finally got a sliver of hope. Soul Hackers 2 by Atlus. Atlus, of all developers, has been announced for Xbox day and date. I don't understand how a port like Persona 4 Arena Ultimax that was already on previous generations is absent, but the sequel to an already obscure Atlus JRPG makes it on, but I don't care. We take those. How do you guys feel about this rare Japanese Xbox W? Do you guys think this is the start of Xbox and Atlus working together, or is this Atlus just being weird and ending up being a one-off?" Man, we got more write-ins about this than anything else.
Woo!
Anything else, man.
Listen, man. Listen. Gotta shed a tear today, Listen, the war is not one. Rome's not built in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Got to take your battles one step at a time.
Yeah.
This is a day, gentlemen. I don't care.
Yes, it is.
This is a day. I know people like, Cog, it's nothing. This is an Atlus game.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new game. This is day and date. They said Atlus does not deal with Microsoft. We are making traction. So all I say is, I don't know what happened to the other little Persona game. That I agree with my man. Shout out to Donald Tyler. I agree with him. I don't know what happened to the other one. But you got to look at me. Just baby the ball and start, baby. That's all you go. You just want to see progress. Now, I got shout out to my Iron Lord brother today. Shout out to Sovereign. Are you sweating, brother? I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you listen to Define Duke all the time. I love you. Are you sweating just a little bit? Because I hit him up. I showed him the news. I was starting trouble. He's like, "This is not Persona."
Yeah.
I said, I feel you. But this is how hopefully it gets in the direction that we want. And I this is what I really want to be right about, to be honest, man. I do really want to throw this part in people's face. Like, if we get a Persona after all of this, like, we got to give the Dukes they do, because we've been willing it, because people were laughing at us like, yo, that Sega means nothing. It's just cloud servers, man. It's not about games. I've been beat over the head. And all we said, like, look at this pie chart. Look at this, their boardroom. Look how they're so enthused. It just appears to be a little bit more. So hopefully whoever they had to smack in the back of the neck of Atlus and get your behind and put them games, whoever's into, maybe it came from above, from Sega. Get in line, because we're in line. We move as a unit. I'm just joking. I'm being a fool. I just hope it, all jokes aside, I hope this really pans out. This is a good thing. I know it's a little game. This is a good thing, y'all. I'm stupid excited about it. I'm literally, I don't know. I'm not going to fraud. I don't know nothing about this game. I am getting this game. I don't know anything about this game. I am day one, August 20. I'm in.
Yep.
I want to support.
Hold us accountable. Follow up, ladies and gentlemen.
That's going to be my game I'm playing. And if it's in Game Pass, it's going to be the Game Pass of the week. I am supporting, what's it called?
Soul Hackers.
Soul Hackers 2. I'm in, baby. I'm in Atlas. Hey, big hey.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
All right. So you said everything that I wanted to say on a positive front. So I just got to leap into being the bad cop here.
Oh, man.
I know. Atlas is such a fucking weird company, man. Let's talk about it. We got to open up this can of worms. Because again, I share every sentiment of what Cog has said about the hype. Like, yes, I'm there day one. It's about time, the victory lap. I'm there for it all. So with that all being said, Atlas is weird. And this is, if you're an Atlas fan, just like Atlas does, literally the term in the community is Atlas does Atlas things. They will do things that make no sense. Just follow them for a couple of months and you'll just see, we're doing a Persona celebration and they announce stickers. You're like, dude, what are you guys doing? So for a little bit of a history lesson, and a very recent history lesson at that.
Bring it down.
Very, very recent. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Only on Switch. Now, there was a leak saying it might be coming to PC, but right now, only on Switch. Soul Hackers, not coming to Switch. Persona, only PlayStation. Soul Hackers 2 making it to Xbox, though. I don't understand the cadence because then, as the write-in stated from Don Otaku, Persona 4 Arena is back compat, but we're not going to get the port onto Xbox. That still infuriates me because it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. So, again, I can't with pure confidence say, well, I'm going to take this victory lap here with you. I can't say with confidence this is a sign of things to come because they just are so spotty. Like, I guarantee you, Atlas will bring this happily to PC on the Epic Game Store. This will not be on Steam or on the Xbox Game Pass. This will be the Epic Game Store. That's how we're going to get SMT5 on PC. Because of course. And that's an amazing game, by the way, which deserves, it's the best-selling SMT entry, but that's not saying much because the series isn't that popular, like, say, Persona. Like, that series needs more exposure. Xbox fans are hungry. Get them there, man. Get them there. But I get it. Xbox fans got to really pony up and start paying for these games. And I'm guilty of it. Like, I bought Nier Replicant on PlayStation, like, just by habit alone.
Absolutely. I guess the excitement for me really stems from the fact that it was new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I like.
I'm like, we haven't heard of this in a while.
Right. So my thing is hopefully, maybe again, because Cog likes nuanced opinions. I like to get as much information as he can because we don't know. But maybe the holdup, and I'm guessing, was like contractually, they couldn't do anything to the titles at a certain point, and those things were already locked in. Yeah. So now that maybe at this point the relationship changed in 2022, maybe there's that cutoff date. And like now we can start working with you. Mm-hmm. And that's all because it didn't make any sense. And again, this, to your point, because you're being complete great devil's advocate, this still does not guarantee anything. I know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it points in a nice direction. You just hope that it leads to more things. But yeah, this is interesting to watch. I was very happy to see this one.
And I will give Xbox their roses here for a moment. With the Somnium Files, Nirvana Initiative, Danganronpa, Soul Hackers 2, these are the meaningful steps forward. Like, yeah, I want all of Danganronpa there, but these are really with, I'd say, the Somnium Files and Soul Hackers 2. These are the meaningful steps forward that I've been looking for. Just be there day and date. Obviously, exclusive deals are tough enough to work out with like Western companies. You have to have a meeting of the minds to really get everyone on the same page. I get it. It's tough. But these are the things that just Xbox fans need. Like, they deserve to have these niche games day and date. It's expected on PlayStation. They don't miss them. It's expected on Switch. They don't miss them. Xbox, you are a major platform holder. You have no excuse. You have millions of users. You should have these games day and date. And I'm happy to see with 2 smaller titles, plus Nier last year, plus Tales of Arise, it's adding up now. I think the next step, provided this cadence remains, is working out, whether we've talked about Scalebound, like working out a nice Japanese, like a clear Japanese title, like made from the ground up. Ghostwire Tokyo kind of could have been that, incidentally. Yeah. Obviously, that's going to PlayStation, but a pure JRPG, like a Lost Odyssey moment for Xbox Series generation players. Like, that's the next thing is what I'm looking for. But this is getting me over the hump of like, okay, you guys are showing up day and date. With Atlas, I'm not fully buying in yet because, again, right next month, Persona 4 Arena on every console but Xbox. So
contractual, baby.
I mean, look, we'll talk about it shortly, but like Xbox just got a thing against fighting games, I guess. So that could be it too.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, that could be it too. But we got one more right in here on this subject because, again, we had a ton for this. Dragon Paul 2022 or 22 writes in, "Hey Dukes, I'm sure you're about to get a ton of questions asking your thoughts about Soul Hacker 2 coming to Xbox. However, I'm going to ask a different question for the direction. My prediction is Soul Hackers 2 is Atlas's test to see if Xbox fans will put up the money to show that there is a platform here for them. Do you guys think Xbox is going to work out a deal with Atlas and get this title on Game Pass for more to play to be safe, or stick to their guns and launch same day and date full price like the rest of the platforms? Anyways, hope you Dukes have a type of unpredictable Atlas kind of day." See, I told you, man, these Atlas fans are
they outside. Yeah, shout out to Dragonfall. I love the question. It could be, right? It could be a test bed. You know, we'll start you with the smaller stuff, see how you do, right? Before we, it's possible, or it's possible that the relationship could have. It's possible the relationship could change. Now, I will say this. I just thought about like a way they could try to make it beneficial for everyone involved. Because let's just say, let's be fair to Atlas. I know we clowning them and they say they're unpredictable, and I do get annoyed that I don't see their titles on Xbox. But let's just say they have data and they say, look, when we did this particular game or Soul Hackers or whatever, right? You know, we saw with our data that, the physical sales were just trash. Like, it wasn't worth it, you know, for us to even deal with you. Let's be real, right? And we got all our market is this Nintendo and all our market predominantly PlayStation. So if Microsoft sweetens the pot and say, okay, well, maybe digital only release or Game Pass release, then they get a bag, right? Maybe that can entice, okay, now it's worth my while to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? Because now I ain't got to press up as much, or, you know what I'm saying? It could be a digital only release because there's got to be, listen, we understand the Japanese sensibilities and relationships, and culturally, I get that part. You know what I'm saying? But there's also, this thing has to, from a business standpoint, because we got to talk business, corporations going to incorporate, it's got to make sense for Atlas. And Atlas, for whatever reason, we don't know exactly, kind of still holds power in the Sega building. They still hold enough to still kind of do what they want to do on some level. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe it just comes down to business sense. So maybe now Microsoft has gotten the business right that makes it good for Atlas, and hopefully it's Game Pass, or hopefully it's digital only, or whatever, something that makes them say, you know what, all right, now we'll rock with you. Because before that, Xbox, you guys sold like 100 cars. Let's be real, like they could be like, yo, why are we even going to waste the resources for what we going to get back?
Yeah.
And that could be it too. So we'll see.
Scarlet Nexus taught me a valuable lesson that you can't just assume these games will be Game Pass, because I thought that game made a lot of sense. And I think with how quickly it came to Game Pass, it's clear that maybe they realized that a bit late, or they tried to get what sales they could and then put it on there. But again, I don't think that game did well at all, but I haven't checked. Soul Hackers 2 makes an abundance amount of sense for Game Pass. And I'm not saying this because, get the Xbox fans in there. What I'm saying more so is SMT has had two spinoffs. You have Persona, which is super popular. SMT is at its most popular. Soul Hackers has not had a new entry since 1997. If there's a series that you make a deal for exposure, I genuinely think this is it. I get it. Like Scarlet Nexus, I think the way it was marketed and stuff might have seemed a little more pie in the sky. But this one, to me, again, it just feels like this is the one you make the deal for. You need, like, I'm not even saying this because of Xbox bias at all. Like, I just think you need the eyes. Like, even if someone sees it on Xbox and picks it up on PlayStation, like, Atlas benefits too much from this. And you could look at Edge of Eternity. This is a game that came out on Game Pass day one. It's a indie JRPG. It looks solid. And I saw a ton of people talking about it, more than most JRPGs that have come out on Xbox recently, because it was there on Game Pass and people were willing to try it. So there's an audience there that's hungry for it, that's willing to talk about it. Obviously, that game's quality kind of missed the mark for people because it was this huge game that was made by 20 people, kind of the Biomutant effect, if you will. It's doing a lot of cool things, but none of them are refined. I just think Soul Hackers, though, is a game that could draw a lot of attention. And it looks cool, by the way. We didn't even talk about the game itself. I don't know if you watched the trailer, but I thought it looked cool.
Here's the thing. A lot of it is, again, relationship and trying. Like, they may say to themselves, okay, this title didn't do well for us, Atlas, right? But hey, if we use this as a test bed for your Game Pass, and they start to see engagement they never seen before on a title that, you know what I mean, they didn't really have big expectations, because we've seen that with Sega overall, right? They were like, yo, you guys bought 2 Point Hospital like that? Like, oh my God, like, you guys, all our little smaller stuff, okay, and then let's give you this and let's give you that. And you just build it. You just build that relationship. So hopefully they got the right people in the building, in the room, in the conference call. Keep it going. Keep it up. Whoever made this Soul Hackers 2, keep him on the line. That speed dial on Atlas. Keep it going, bro. I like whoever's doing this.
Did we call this the Sarah Bond effect? Because she was pretty hype on the whole Sega deal, right?
Yeah,
and
Sarah's awesome,
very proud of it. And I was just like,
very vocal about Sega. Very vocal.
Just a thought.
Just a thought.
All right. Number 4. This one I'm very excited to get into. Could have arguably been our number 1 piece, but of course, JRPGs are the president. So, or the priority, rather. That was the wrong word. BioWare has long been lauded for their RPGs, but with games like Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, the company hasn't been seen in a positive light for years. These repeated flops brew reasonable skepticism surrounding their upcoming game Dragon Age 4, a series that hasn't seen the light of day since 2014. The last we heard on the game was that a 2022 release wasn't likely, and now we have a new scoop thanks to Jeff Grubb via his Giant Bomb show, Grubb Snacks. While responsible for many leaks, Jeff's reporting between Dead Space Remake and Mass Effect Legendary Edition has solidified him as a good source for EA-related games. It is said that Dragon Age 4 is reportedly launching as late as fall 2023, with the game being in very good shape. That said, Jeff says that even late 2023 is considered, quote, pretty aggressive, end quote, for the release. The caveat? Currently, EA and BioWare have no plans to do a remastered trilogy, much like they did for Mass Effect, despite a new entry for that series being easily half a decade out. The reasoning is far more perplexing. According to Jeff, the Dragon Age games aren't as linked together, thus making them not the best candidate for the same treatment that Mass Effect got, says EA. Beyond that, there is also technical hurdles such as various engines for the series that they had to use across Origins, its sequel Dragon Age 2, and then the latest entry, Inquisition. Shortly thereafter, BioWare posted a blog on their own website updating fans on Dragon Age 4 themselves. Quote, our blueprint was completed last year, so we're now focused on building out our vision, creating impactful, amazing environments, deep characters, strong gameplay, great writing, emotional cinematics, and much more. The blueprint for the game is well understood and the team is focused. As we continue our journey, we wanted to wish Christian Daly a heartfelt farewell from BioWare. Christian started with us back in 2018 and has been a big influence on our games and leadership team, most recently as executive producer over Dragon Age's development. The games industry is ever-changing, though, and sometimes folks want to go and try new things. We understand, but we will miss him as a friend and as a colleague. Notice the difference here, by the way, of their send-off to Christian here versus, I think Matt Goldman was his name.
Yeah.
Completely different energy. Anyway,
really different. Yeah.
Much more to read. A strong leadership team of industry and Dragon Age veterans is in place to carry us through production and beyond. The game's production director is Mac Walters, who recently led the development for Mass Effect Legendary Edition and has an 18-year history with BioWare. Corinne Bush, who has been leading the design direction for Dragon Age, is our game director. She has a wealth of experience, including 15 years at EA and a passion for the franchise. Benoit Hall is the director of product development, and he brings an in-depth understanding on the franchise thanks to having worked on every single Dragon Age game starting over 16 years ago on Dragon Age Origins. Wow, I didn't realize it was that old. Holy smokes. Okay, anyway, keep reading here. I will also be working more closely with the Dragon Age team. This is Gary McKay writing this letter, by the way, as they go through production while continuing to guide the studio. Later this year, you'll start to hear more from the Dragon Age team in the form of blogs and social content. As we move through development, we'll also be in regular communication with players who sit on our community council. As passionate fans like you, we take their feedback seriously. We are also listening to all of you as you share your thoughts and experiences, so keep talking to us, end quote. A lot here, Mr. Cognito. A lot here. Where do you want to start? Jeff's report, the remasters not being a thing, or what Gary McKay had to say after all of this?
Let me start with the remasters. Yeah, I mean, I actually do understand it. I do understand it. And, you know, unlike Mass Effect, I feel it they are connected, but not as connected, you know, the way the Mass Effect series are. And then we have to be cognizant of the engines, you know what I'm saying? The Unreal to Frostbite. So I can, even though I would like that, I can understand a situation where it's like, yo, you know, it would be too much of a undertaking by the team to get that done. So that part was that. As far as I'll tackle the second part real quickly, and I'll give it back to you. Another lead. You know, another top lead, you know, and leaving. And generally, I try not to over dramatize that kind of stuff. But this is now a pattern we're seeing, you know, like I don't dramatize it when people leave after the fact, when the project's complete. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like when it's not finished, not out, and, you know, so many, we Casey and Mark and this one and that one and, you know, Christian Daly now. And it's just like, I can only go by what the information that's presented to me, right? The information that's presented to me right now just appears to show dysfunction. It appears to show lack of direction. It appears to show that there is maybe something more deeper going on culture-wise in the building that they have not figured this out. And I don't know if it's to the frustration of those leaving, but clearly there is a pattern. And the game is, I feel like each year with Dragon Age 4, I feel like I know less. Like, that's how I feel. I don't know. I just feel like, well, what is it now? Like, what is it trying to be? And so much thoughts. Those are my just initial thoughts on those two things I want to touch on. But I know you've got a ton to say.
Certainly. So I'll follow the pattern you did. I'm going to start off with the remasters because I got to push back a little bit. I find it so foolish that EA is claiming these games aren't as connected, because in a lot of ways, like, I'd argue they're as connected. I think of the Red Lyrium, for example. This is a major plot point of Dragon Age 4. Like, you see it in all the trailers. And it's in Dragon Age 2, like all over the place. That's where it's discovered. And it carries into Dragon Age Inquisition with the Red Templars. So there's moments like that. And not only that, but they have Dragon Age Keep. Like, they let you import choices in each and every game. Inquisition, you literally take your choices from Origins and you take your choices from Dragon Age 2 and you port them in. Or you can make them beforehand on the website and then load that in. So you don't have to play the games before. So the idea that EA is claiming they're not as connected is a lie, like, in my eyes. Like, it's just an outright untrue statement and shows something I've kind of beat the drum on a lot, which is they just don't know what they have. They don't know what they have with BioWare. They don't know what they're doing with them. And they're, you know, I just wish so heavily that BioWare would be extracted from them. And now, after, again, we're going to get to this news later, this could be possible. It would just be a big Hail Mary type of moment, but I hope it occurs because, again, this company has no clue what they have, because they're claiming that a game that is objectively connected is not connected. The engine part is fair. You know, Origins used Eclipse, 2 used Lyceum, and Inquisition infamously used Frostbite. So there are multiple engines. I do think they could. It's like PlayStation with back compat. They're like, well, we can't do it. I'm like, you can fucking figure it out. You can figure it out if you want to.
Are we armchair Devin?
I was just joking. No, I kind of am, but absolutely, like, there is when there is a will, there is a way. It's about if it's worth it. And I think for Dragon Age, it's like this, you're putting everything into this game. Like, Mass Effect Legendary Edition took so much pressure off of you. Figure out the remastered trilogy, because this can, again, alleviate pressure, inject some money into the company, alert EA, who clearly has no idea, hey, people like this. Dragon Age Inquisition is BioWare's best-selling game ever. Remind them people love Dragon Age, right? Keep that in mind, and get some more money flowing into this company before Dragon Age 4, where instead of it being an all-in moment, it's instead a black eye you can take if it ends up not being as good. So I just think the remaster decision here is so ill-advised. I imagine, again, this is an EA choice, not a BioWare choice, but I just need to speak on that real quickly. As for it being in good shape, there's a lot of supporting reasons why it should be in good shape, but a lot can change in 18 months. Say it comes out in fall 2023, ideally. A lot can change for a game between now and then that complicates things, but a lot of this is lining up with with what Gary is saying, what Jeff has reported, what's being said by exiting talent. It's not ever really outside of that Matt Goldman issue, seemingly on bad terms. And there seems to be a collective confidence like, hey, this project's in a good place. Like Christian Daly actually tweeted saying like, hey, please don't believe the hate. Like this game's actually in a really good spot right now. And sorry, what's up?
I hate to interrupt.
Please.
The only reason why I still got my side eye.
Oh, of course. As always.
I heard all this with my beloved Anthem at the time. Oh, don't worry, guys. This case is in good hands. The statements went out, and you know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not trying to say that everything's identical. I just got my little thing. I had to just say that because of course, yeah. I'm still burnt. Sorry.
No, and rightfully so. I'm not telling. I hope it's not coming across this way. I'm not telling everyone to buy into what they are saying, but there seems to be collectively on the inside that's being reported to people who have no agenda and also being stated publicly like we're in a spot. And if they do truly have a blueprint that is understood by the team, then you're just making the thing at that point, right? And that doesn't mean it's going to be a good game, but at least they'll be making a thing, a RPG in this case, right? Which is more than they've done in the last 2 releases. So there is that step forward, which is why in hindsight, you could say, well, they're in a great place because they're actually making the damn thing. It's probably a far cry away from in production, on the production side of things. Like they're probably way ahead of the curve than they've been in almost a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we're 2 years away from that. So yeah, it's probably going to feel like they're really ahead of the curve. But on the executive side of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christian Daly filled the shoes of Mark Dara, interestingly.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Dara was a 23-year vet at BioWare who then left as well. Mm-hmm. And the difference here is Christian Daly would have a lot more in the tank, you'd imagine, right? 2018, about 4 years in this team. And he already wanted out.
Yeah.
Senior director or creative director left. A lot of notable positions making exits. This is the BioWare turnover I've been warning people a lot about on my channel, that the winds of change are blowing through. And I think it just speaks to their... No, you're okay. I just going to say, I think it speaks to the process ongoing in BioWare, the so-called hockey stick-like development of being on a flat line, and then at the end, things start to come together randomly, and it's like, okay, race to the finish now. The BioWare magic, if you would say. And I think it wears people out because what's most encouraging about this, and I want to dish it back to you, Mac Walters is on this project. To me, he's got that kind of Rod Ferguson energy. Like when he was leading the charge for, I get it's a remaster, pseudo remake project. It's not the level of a giant AAA video game. But he kind of had that Rod Ferguson level of like, in control, in the driver's seat, understanding what the fans wanted, which was news, updates, transparency. He was doing it all. Like when he was doing project director for that, he was answering people on Twitter saying like, here's what's happening from top to bottom with the game, answering all types of questions and concerns, and what he said then delivered. So I have a lot of faith in Mac. Like him being in a high up role to me is very encouraging because I think it's deserved. I think he kind of proved himself publicly to everyone with the best launch BioWare seen in a while. And again, like we can't always assume these remaster packages are safe bets because Master Chief Collection is a great example of how it can go wrong. And BioWare has had they had to really dig deep for Mass Effect 1 and practically remake the game and respect the history it was built on, respect the systems it was built on. They did a good job with that. So of course, with this being one of my favorite developers, I could go on. But I'll stop there and dish it to you, Cog. How are you feeling about You mentioned the leadership change, but how are you feeling about some of the new faces coming in and anything else that you didn't cover on the BioWare front here?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Listen, I want the game to succeed. I not like the veteran you are with the series. I came late, but when Inquisition ended, it left questions that I really wanted answers. If I don't want to spoil it, there was some cliffhanger stuff. I was like, oh, okay.
Trespasser, man. Did you play Trespasser?
Yeah. Oh no, I did. Wait, yes, I did. I played Trespasser.
Yeah.
Yes, I did play Trespasser.
The ending of Trespasser is really good.
Yes, and I'm like, there was a cliffhanger on some level, and I was in a waiting, like, yo, where is this gonna go? And there's a character, but whatever. I'm not gonna say that. But anyway, and
the main story of Inquisition is good. It's just that's why this remaster. There's so much obvious shit that they could fix in Dragon Age.
Wow.
I said this in my video, so I apologize to those who listen and feel like I'm regurgitating, but I got to. Because like Inquisition, it's like there was a power balance issue. So, and by that, I mean literally like the power currency you'd get by completing side activities. Like if they just said, hey, let's move this up from 3 to 5, you could get to those amazing main story moments way quicker. Dragon Age 2 was snake bitten by a quick development process. So that game looked ugly when it came out. It came out right next to like Skyrim, I think Dark Souls 1. Like it was just what happened to Dragon Age, right? Is what it looked like. Give it a second chance. This game actually has also, I mean, I'm biased on this front, bro. I'll be honest, but like, I think it's got a good story. I think there's a lot of redeeming qualities about Dragon Age 2, but its repetitive environments really hurt it. This is your chance to go in and like right those wrongs. It's such obvious wrongs. It's funny because it goes in reverse. Like the oldest game, Origins, probably needs the least changes. It's got the BioWare jank. The visuals aren't crazy, but it doesn't fundamentally need changes. I think 2 and Inquisition definitely do though. And they're not these deep rooted problems. Like let's change the currency for what you get when you complete a quest. Let's destabilize the balance of this game because it's already not good.
I just think, bro, it's one of them things that I just think higher up, the boardroom looks at it and it's like, it's out of opinion too. The same thing. I got the fan on tilt. But it's like, it's one of those things that I think that for whatever reason, they may not, because they have the analytics, view the Dragon Age franchise as that money maker. And it don't matter how much we like it.
How? It's the best. Dragon Age Inquisition was like their best selling game. How?
True, but historically, I don't know the numbers. All I'm saying is, for whatever reason, they're not. I agree with you. We know they got the resources. If EA wants to do it, right? I'm with you. They could put the resources behind to make this happen. For whatever reason, they are not inclined to do so, whether it be the series, whether it be the sale. Something is not leading them in that direction. And it is interesting as to know why. But to your point, all that stuff could be, would be exciting and would draw up interest. And it could have bought them time, right? It could have bought them time with this long gap wait, like just how Trilogy is for Mass Effect for the next one. It's buying them time. There's goodwill now. People are like, yo, that was why I loved it. Mass Effect 1 through 3, let's go. And it's weird that we're not seeing that energy for that, but we're gonna see. I'm hopeful. I just don't want to get. I still got my side eye with them, man. 100%. I don't know why.
I'm just like, not even. I hope so. I think it's rightfully. I love their stuff, and even I got the side eye. It's like when Jeff Grubb came out, I was like, yeah, it's in great shape. I'm like, I
gotta see. Yeah, I gotta see.
I don't know what that means.
It's been so long. I remember when they showed like a trailer. How long ago has it been? I forgot, bro. I was like, damn, it's been that long.
Yeah, they've only shown concept trailers. That's the last thing we should probably talk about is they mentioned they're going to show more this year. I imagine we're finally get a first good in-game look at it, which is exciting. I can't wait to finally lay eyes on it. But Cog, I want to know, when do you think we're going to see it? You're muted, by the way.
Oh, sorry. The most aggressive was late 2023.
Yes.
That was the most aggressive?
Yeah, and they're saying the wording here is, let me get it exactly. As we move through development, we'll be in regular communication with players who sit on our community council. That's, for those who don't know that, by the way, I just want to inform people, they will contact influencers and whatnot and invite them into a program to effectively test stuff for the game and give feedback, which does help these games. So they'll be doing that. They said later this year, you'll start to hear more from the Dragon Age team in the form of blogs and social content. So
They sound like they're ready. No, they sound like they're ready. They sound like they're ready to talk.
You think that's going to be gameplay? Of course. I mean, blogs. I don't know what social content is. Do you think they're just going to be?
They probably got a trailer. They probably got some type of trailer in game. Maybe it's time. Like they got to now. Like you've got to drum up the interest. And let's be honest, it's in their best interest to do it now because again, the optics of what you call it daily leaving. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't look good. You got to instill confidence in this base. This game is still on point. It looks good. So I'm with you. I think we do get that. I'm still going to say 2024, though. I was maybe top of 2024. That's where I'm leaning.
That sucks. Like, that's, even when Andromeda was coming around, man, like a BioWare game, I know it's not an event for everyone else, but like, it is for me. And that sucks. It's like Anthem I skipped. Like, Anthem I was just like, no. That's not, I didn't sign up for this. But Dragon Age 4, to know, I want them to take their time because for them to undo the live service elements, the more time, the better. That's great. I love to see that shit, man. But otherwise, it sucks. But I'd rather them get it right. And they said in their last post at the end of December to close out the year, they're like, we want BioWare games to be an industry-stopping event. Like when they come around, people halt and play. And that's what they used to be. So let's hope they get back to that. And we've got more news to get into. So let's move on to number 5.
Let's do it.
Bethesda has officially announced they are sunsetting the Bethesda Net launcher. Shout out to Cog, by the way, because he sent this my way. I completely missed it. Beginning in early April, Bethesda states you will be able to migrate your library and wallet to Steam, meaning nothing will be lost in the transition. Many game saves will also transfer over, while others may have to be manually copied according to the official post's FAQ. For all 5 Fallout 76 players, your characters and atoms will transfer over as long as you have your Steam account linked. Dude, once Fallout 76 fans came for me because I said that this game is not Fallout, I was like, you guys just you picked the wrong fight here. Like you don't realize who you're messing with on this level here now. I kid, but I'm gonna jab you guys endlessly at this point until the game's dead. Until the game's dead, you're gonna hear from me. So Cog,
respect.
Bethesda Net, a launcher bites the dust. They're like, here's what we're doing. We're moving to Steam. We're making the transition easy. How do you feel about that?
I actually like it. I don't mind it. Let's get where the players are. Let's go to where PC gamers are actually at. And I like that. I just look at that long-term vision, obviously with Bethesda on the Zenimax and them now playing nice with Steam. Now I want to see how this PC, I'm very curious about the PC ecosystem in relationship to Xbox, particularly in which direction it goes. So I thought this was cool. I'm curious for you, like, what are you hearing from, you're more tapped into me on the Bethesda side. Like, what are you hearing in reference to just community or to laugh? No,
I was going to say, you give me so much credit. I was just like, I kind of forgot this even existed. Like, in which I think was kind of the sentiment from the community. Like, this was not, when they said we're shutting down, it's like, oh yeah, that thing. Right. Well, that makes sense. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Like, I could tell by the post, like they just seem very much like it wasn't even bending either. Like, yeah, we're getting rid of this thing. It's done. We're doing it in early April. We're going to give you all your shit. Don't worry. And that'll be that. So, it's funny. Normally I'm a man of many things to say, but for this, I don't. It makes complete sense. It was a failed initiative and it's a right call to just put it on Steam, man. Stop with these many launchers. So I'm sure PC games are fist pumping going like, all right, one less shortcut on my desktop. So.
Yeah. And last point I'll say is just that, it's interesting to see Bethesda had a lot of launchers and individual projects and things. Even their Orion tech, I believe, was like cloud oriented and stuff like that. So I'm very curious to see how their proprietary stuff moves forward post acquisition of Microsoft. And these are the kind of signs I like to pay attention. It's a small thing, but it's like, okay, you're doing that. You're moving over to Steam, getting rid of the okay, I'm monitoring it.
All right. Well, I got nothing else to throw in there on that. So I guess we'll be quick and agile. Move to number 6. We have another acquisition. Lots becoming commonplace. What is more rare is the shape that the latest deal Tencent made has taken. Tencent is acquiring Inflexion, the brand new built studio that is run by former BioWare head honcho, Aaron Flynn. However, this newly found developer is being extracted from the current, now former owner, Improbable. Inflexion CEO Aaron Flynn states that these talks have been ongoing since last summer, where there had been a shift in the design of Nightingale, the studio's upcoming service game, and that Improbable saw a future for itself in a different direction. Flynn opens up a bit more on the reasoning behind the move to Tencent. Quote, "In my experience, good game developers are willing to have conversations and accept feedback, but there are limits and expectations on that. They have to be respected. And we heard from Tencent at the same time, we recognized in them not just the biggest company, biggest game development company in the world, but a company that has a vast experience in creating compelling live service and engaging player communities and understanding exactly the culture that's necessary to go and build that. Since that was a big part of our business plan with Nightingale, we got excited by the complementary expertise that was largely driven from a game design standpoint and where we want to take the game. More and more, we are investing in elements of our survival crafting experience, and we made the decision that to ensure we could ship this game and not find ourselves in a very long development cycle that many MMOs do, we would walk away from those things." All right, so Cog, we have an acquisition here. The biggest takeaway, and the reason I really wanted to talk about it is, as I've said multiple times this show, it has been extracted from another publisher through a majority stake being sold off to Tencent. And obviously we can talk about Inflexion, this Nightingale service game by Aaron Flynn and his team. But what do you make of what is a story that's not getting a lot of traction, but I thought was quite fascinating that we kind of have a trade deal here, if you will?
Yeah, that's how I was looking at it. It was just, I never seen nothing like that. It's very, very unique situation. You know, I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know about, you know, obviously the spatial OS thing, but I guess I was trying to understand the mindset for moving, because when I was reading the report, I don't know, I got the vibe like they didn't want to deal with elements of like MMO and live service stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, well, isn't that kind of what Tencent is trying to do with certain things? I was very confused with the messaging here. That's all I was, as far as the reasoning for why the deal happened, kind of thing. And then the obvious, which is, yo, you know what you're getting in bed with, right? You know, we know what we're doing here, kind of thing. And again, it's your choice. You have the right. But is this type of game going to fit that model with what you want to do? Are you going to be able to achieve your goals? That's my main concern with being under Tencent. As we've talked ad nauseum, you know, many Defining Duke Ultimates. We had that with Colin. Like, you know, we always say, like, not every bag's a good bag. So again, are they going to commit and do everything that you need them to do, and you're comfortable with that? Then okay, that's what you did. But this was a very strange. I've never seen this. Like I was just like, I'm trying to find examples of like a trade where it's like, yo, we're going this publisher and you give me that, and I can't remember that. So what do you think? It's very intriguing.
Yeah, I think on a video game front, I remember being excited for what Aaron Flynn was working on, because this is a BioWare OG, and like when he left, made his own studio, and he announced like, we're going to show this off at the Game Awards. We're really excited about it. I was like, okay, like, let's go. Let's see what this is about. When I saw it was a service game, I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, man, really? Like, someone from BioWare, just go and make a fucking RPG studio already. Like, that's all I'm asking for. But the game on its own, like, even with that aside, like, I just don't think it looks that great. And I think it's a pretty telling sign of where this game is going when the current publisher says they, word for word, because Aaron says this, saw a future for itself in a different direction. That is the exact quote. And they then sold to the biggest service games publisher on the market, Tencent, who will like, it just says that the design of this game is absolutely going to be, in my eyes, like probably pay to win. There's probably going to be a ton of microtransactions. Like, that's what it speaks to me, because, you know, all of this talk for Flynn, what he's not probably recognizing here in my eyes, all I'm seeing is someone who's excited by the business proposition of what it means for his studio, not what it means for the game. He's like, they get it. They get what it means to build a service game, a community. They get it. And I'm just like, yeah, Tencent gets money. Like, they understand how to make money. So on a game front, there's no enthusiasm from me, and I'll just keep an eye open to see what Nightingale fully is at its release, which is apparently in early access this year at some point. So we'll see shortly.
Yeah, that's my curiosity with Nightingale itself. How it executes, what type of content is in the game. I'm very curious about that. And
Rival and crafting, baby. Yeah.
Hopefully all their, dreams, wants, and wishes are achieved.
Yeah, but I just thought it was pretty interesting because, I've been really beating that BioWare drum, like extract them from EA, a publicly traded company. Now we're seeing it's possible. It's Xbox, pick up the phone. Anyone can pick up the phone. Just get BioWare out of there, please.
Just get BioWare out.
Please. They don't deserve to die. They don't.
Oh, I feel you on that. I feel definitely on that part.
You thought I was bad with Deathloop. I'm just saying, like, if you want to hear me rant and rave, if BioWare dies because of EA, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you will be going in. That'll be a special emergency episode. I already know.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I already know.
You know it well.
Got the call up. Mm-hmm.
All right, number 7 goes to fighting games. It appears that Capcom was in the fighting game mood this past week as they had 2 significant announcements for all of us. The first one is arriving at the end of a long countdown, Street Fighter 6. The last Street Fighter game never made its way to Xbox, and it's safe to expect history is to repeat itself here. Capcom says to expect more updates for Street Fighter 6 this summer. Separately, they also announced the Capcom Fighting Collection, which includes Darkstalkers, the Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge, Vampire Savior, the Lord of the Vampire, that's a hilarious name, Vampire Hunter 2, Darkstalkers Revenge, Vampire Savior 2, the Lord of Vampire, Red Earth, Cyberbots Full Metal Madness, Super Gem Fighter Minimax, Super Puzzle Fighter Turbo 2, and Hyper Street Fighter 2. The Capcom Fighting Collection will be available on June 24th on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. All right, Cog. So you're really the I've played a lot of fighting games in my days, but I think over the years since Dragon Ball Fighters, I'd say I haven't really been hooked to one. Like Dragon Ball Fighters and Tekken 7 were like the last ones I can think where I was like, I was in a fighting game groove. Mm-hmm. Since then, I've just in and out, like Blaze Blue, Grand Blue, I think actually it was. Dead or Alive 6, I was kind of into. Nothing was really quite grabbing me. So I wanted to shoot you, Cog, and hear how you feel as a big fighting game guy. Like, what do you think about Capcom's recent announcements?
Little nervous.
Okay.
Little nervous. I love that the collection's coming to Xbox. Yeah. I like that's multi-platform, so they didn't miss out on that. But, I've been on record for being very aggressive about Street Fighter V and however that happened is just a disservice to Xbox fans or fighting fans, because it's like, but not saying that it's wrong for Sony to have done that. You know what I'm saying? Sony's done what's best for Sony. What I'm just saying is that I don't see, as a fighting game fan, I don't see that level of determination to keep those on the platform, to make things launch day and date on your platform. I don't see you literally have one of, I'm going to be hard on them. You have one of your own. I'm not even a Killer Instinct guy. I'm going to be honest. Mm-hmm. But I recognize how popular that game is, and I recognize the importance of it. And you have that. It did well on the Xbox One. I remember that was kind of an early, launch title towards and where's the sequel? What's going on? Why is the studio not in that? Like, what's going on? Why are you not in the thing? And then I see Sony over here. They bought Evo. They got this. That, and I'm just worried, Maddie. I am worried that this 6 gets announced. Shout out to Grubb. He's the one that put out the energy that, that Street Fighter 6 would be announced. They still have not announced all the platforms yet. They just made a trailer. But it would suck if Microsoft's not part of this again. As a fighting fan, because I just feel they're so egregiously deficient. Like, it's just where are the fighting games? Like, where are they on the platform? So, yeah, that's going to be probably one of my other movements. I haven't come up with a name for it. You know what I'm saying? We got the hashtag just one, but we got to have a fighting game movement. We talked about the JRPG stuff as well. Fighting games are even in a worse state, especially if you want Game Pass to be what Game Pass is supposed to be. You need fighting games. You need these diverse lineups.
Yeah, I agree entirely. And it's a game that I don't expect to come to Xbox Street Fighter 6, but I'd like to see it, but it's like they're fighting wars on both fronts, right? You got the JRPG war, and then you got the fighting game war. And I'm wondering if they're kind of looking at what's most beneficial to us and kind of picking a direction and going in it. Because we're seeing progress on that front, but the fighting game front, man, it's barren. If NetherRealm gets gobbled up by someone and they become exclusive to a company, it's over. It's over. Like, it's like, think of Call of Duty if it were to go exclusive to Xbox, because then they got Doom, Wolfenstein, Call of Duty, Halo. All they need is Battlefield, and it'd be it's done, right? Right. So it's kind of similar situation there. But I was actually never a crazy Street Fighter fan. I didn't, a fighting game's all about feel, right? Like, of course, it's the aesthetic, the characters, the moveset, the arenas. There's a lot of factors that play in. But for me, the feel of Street Fighter, I don't know if you agree, like, it always felt weighty to me. I like a fluid fighter. That's why I think of Dead or Alive. Like when I was talking about it earlier, you notice all these fighters I like, Dead or Alive, Tekken, Dragon Ball, like they have a fluidity, like a flow. They're quick. You get around.
Yeah, I'm not good at Street Fighter. It's funny. I'm not even a Street Fighter hardcore guy like that either. You know what I'm saying? I respect the impact it has though on the industry. Street Fighter is a thing though, right? To miss out on Street Fighter that's big, man. I mean, next to it's you can make the case it's arguably one of the greatest fighters. I mean, shout out to David. Like we had him on the Last Airbender event. He brought Street Fighter out there. He's like, yo, Street Fighter
the outfit and everything.
At the outfit and everything. You know what I'm saying? Trying to lead all that. Like it's a big deal. These are iconic characters, and maybe the series has been on the decline a little bit. I don't know what the numbers are. But actually, no, I heard Street Fighter 5 actually did very well for PlayStation exclusively. I heard it did very well. But the thing comes down to you cannot miss these events. And if you are, where are your own offerings or, that kind of thing? And it's just, I don't know what's going on. And I think what it is, I think you said it. Honestly, I take it back. I think you said it. I think what's going on is that there's probably a bulletin board internally. And it's probably like JRPGs, fighting games. It's on there, right? But it's like, okay, we can't give them everything right now. So Persona and Atlas, we going for this first. And if that's the case, you got to pick your battles and you got to say, okay, but please just don't forget the fighting community, man. Don't let your opposition have a complete stranglehold on it where you are not even in the mix. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the news we've got for everyone this week. It's time to move in our Game Pass pick of the week. I want to start off with Garrett Gottrust and then get into your pick of the week, Cog. Garrett writes in, Ahoy Dukes, just wanted to give a shout out to an indie game that dropped into Game Pass day one last week. The game is called Inflexion. It's a 2D modern retro style platformer that is heavily inspired by the likes of Castlevania 2 and Zelda 2, with some modern RPG mechanics and some really solid choice and consequence. I picked this game up as I wanted something short to finish before Elden Ring lands, but I've been unable to put Inflexion down. May you have an Atlas announced an Xbox game kind of day.
Yo, this joint look actually really cool.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it. Like, it looks really cool. He nailed it. It does look like Zelda 2 and Castlevania had a baby. Like I like the feel. Did you know about this one? I didn't even know about this one.
No, actually, it's so sad that what got me. This does really look like Castlevania. Holy smokes, man!
Yeah, it looked crazy, eh?
Dude. What's so sad is I'm such a. If I'm a shill for anything, it's a shill for choice and consequence. Like when it's said, I'm just like, what's this then? I'll just check it out in a heartpbeat. It's like you with like Looter Shooter. You're like, oh
yeah.
It drops items when it dies. Oh,
yo, loot.
Yep. Oh, this is cool. This is really cool.
It looks cool. I gotta give him. I didn't know about Inflexion. Shout out.
Shout out to him, Xbox has been on. Let's shout out. Let's give the roses real quick, dude. Their indie program has been on fire. Fire. They've been finding some good ones, man.
Shout out to Indie ID at Xbox. Shout out to Chris Charles, the whole team. I think they even got my boy. What's his name? Damon Bakes. He used to be Nintendo. He used to do the Nintendo Directs. They got him over there. They made moves on ID at Xbox. They've been moving and shaking, and we know Sarah, she always reps them as well. Sarah Bond and them. Yeah, salute to them. They've been killing it. They've been making good choices and really promoting. It's good to see. It's good to see.
Right on. Well, Cog, you've been playing something that's really interesting to see. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, so I've been on this kick lately where we talk about the palette cleanser stuff, and we talked about between major releases and what you're doing. So obviously the Witch Queen was coming up and stuff like that. And then I've also been on this kick of, let me say the game before they get mad. Streets of Rage, DLC 4. They get mad when I build it up. So Streets of Rage 4, the Nightmare, what you call DLC. Because I haven't played it since. And that was the thing. So the kick I've been on between the palette cleansing and between, I'm on this kick like, where is local co-op at? Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to find these days. And the only one that was doing it well was honestly Nintendo Switch, and I felt like, this is one for Xbox. So I went back to it Yo, it's actually really cool. Like, they've added a bunch of new modes. They got 3 characters. They got one of my favorite characters from Streets of Rage 2, which is the big wrestler, the big, brolic guy. Of course, Cogs, I'll pick the big brolic guy. Okay, get it. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Matt. Like, he was one of my favorite characters. But what I like is they didn't just throw him in and put the whole Streets of Rage 2 sprite thing and just copy paste him in. Like, they really did hand-drawn art. He's kind of OP on certain levels. He got the slide attacks and his other great attacks. They added new weapons, new enemies. There's 2 other characters. One was a sub-boss that was in the game. This chick, it's kind of like a cop, who's really good. And then a fan favorite that I believe was in Streets of Rage 3 was Shiva. Shiva is like the coolest. You fought him in Streets of Rage 4, but he's like one of the coolest characters. They added a lot to the game. There's a survival mode. Bro, if you got a couple minutes, you know what I'm saying? You just want to kind of, again, mindless beat 'em up, old school classic. Yeah, it brought the feels back. I'm playing it with my cousin. I'm like, yo, I still love this thing, man. And it just goes in that vein of like how you love Turtles in Time. That's how Streets of Rage be. And there's nothing better than Streets of Rage, you and your man beating people up, and you got the cool sounds of Yuzo Koshiro. He's a legend to me. He's one of the original music soundtrack creators of Streets of Rage. And he did about 2 or 3 tracks. And shout out to Detemo because their music guys did some great tracks on this as well. Yeah, excuse me. But this is another one. Speaking of gym music, Streets of Rage 4 got a beat. Anybody got that soundtrack? It's called Chow Time. When that beat comes on, I know the stage. I know the boss I was fighting.
Is that a gym track?
Yes. I'm doing the best cardio when that Streets of Rage 4 beat. So I had to give Streets of Rage, they do. Geek lifting, geek cardio all day to that soundtrack. Salute.
I'm gonna throw it on real quick, but yeah, actually it's funny. I picked many months ago. I picked Streets of Rage 4 as a Game Pass pick of the week because I was like, yo, this is just a great old fashioned beat 'em up. And Chow Time Streets. It actually came up immediately. Okay.
Look at the ratings in comparison. Like usually they rate like how many people like the songs of the soundtrack. That Chow Time, when that is almost, it's a little street, but with the techno, when that techno beat hit, it's over. You are doing the fastest sprint you've ever done. Yeah, Chow Time is it's a build up though. It sounds like some real like Oriental cool, and then when you hear that, when that hit, it's over. You're doing the best thing ever. You're gonna beat all your personal goals. I'm telling you, Chow Time.
I see where you got it.
You know what you see? Yeah, Chow Time. I know the stage. I know the people I'm fighting is on. Love that joint.
Yeah. This reminds me of the club music in Seafood, where when it just kicks off and you're beating ass and it's like dropping bass in the background. There's nothing like it.
Oh, and shout out to them. They added a ton of customization options with the character, the palette swaps, change the color of the suits, the hair. They give your character, everybody like a different, unique look. They did their thing, man. Shout out to Detemo. They really did fan service.
Is it, the DLC, is that a part of Game Pass?
Wow. Free 99, no excuse.
Wow.
You ain't even got to pay. It's all free.
Wow. That's impressive for how long that game's been hanging around for.
Yeah. Salute to them.
That's a great pick. With that, we have 5 questions to go through to end the show. Stephen Richard writes in, what's good, Dukes? I wasn't sure if this news reached either of you, but Avatar: The Last Airbender has some games coming its way. There's a confirmed MMORPG in the universe, a more RPG-style game with rumors of the original cast as the squad, and a mobile game being developed by Square Enix. Are you guys Avatar: The Last Airbender fans like me? I feel the majority of kids around my age, 25, grew up with this show, and since M. Night Shyamalan destroyed the franchise, we've heard nothing up until recently. Where do you guys stand on this? Hope you have a solid day with no one asking about your car's extended warranty. Wow.
Yeah, what's up with that? I agree with him. Shout out to Steve. Yeah. All these extended warranty spam calls.
Yeah. My favorite one is the we've updated our privacy policy emails. I'm just like, I don't care. Stop filling up my inbox. Anyway, Cog, are you an Avatar guy?
I got a confession.
Oh, no.
I've never even watched one.
What?
I've heard of it.
Wow, man.
This is an addict thing. I'm old. This is your generation. I heard, you know what's so crazy? I've heard so much about it, but I've never watched it. One of my favorite UFC fighters.
Oh, I know. Like Adesanya.
Yeah, he's doing. I'm like, this is clearly influenced by this thing because he is about it. You know, he makes references. The style bender. Yeah, I'm like, okay, so it's a thing. I just don't know. I missed the boat, bro. I'm old. Educate me.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it, but the impact Avatar left on my generation is like unlike rather anything else. You know, to me, it's the top cartoons of that time are Avatar. You know, me growing up, TMNT 03, SpongeBob, like those. That's like the trifecta of me growing up. Like that. Those were the things. Avatar never really had good video games ever. They had the Legend of Korra Platinum game, which if you beat the game, this is the weirdest thing I've ever had to say. If you beat Legend of Korra, the Platinum game, in repeat runs, the game is balanced and way, way better. But that first run is kind of like Mutants in Manhattan, like what the fuckery. That's kind of what you got there. And so there's another reason why Xbox should be wearing Platinum probably. But
look, easy.
But, you know, look, Avatar is back in full force now. I genuinely think because of TikTok. Like, I don't know what else it is. Like, they put it on Netflix, I want to say, or some streaming service. People started watching it and realizing the writing for this show is incredible. Like, there's so much wisdom from Uncle Iroh that's bestowed upon you. The arc of Prince Zuko, which I won't spoil for you, Cog, but the arc of Prince Zuko is legendary, man. The way this prince, this fire-bending prince, goes from villain to hero. There's something special about it. And of course, the trifecta of Avatar, Aang, Sokka, and Katara, and eventually Toph. Just, this is a ragtag group that is fun to watch develop. So many feels with this show. So I caught wind of this news and, you know, of course, me, the RPG shill. I love the sound of a little squad with the original cast getting together. I don't think Legend of Korra gets enough love, though. This is the sequel follow-up to Avatar, and I think it does a lot of great things. I think it retains the spirit in a lot of meaningful ways, and it's some good shit in there. So I would love to see more of that as well. But this game is due for, or this universe is due for a game. An MMO, though? What? Why? Like an MMO in a mobile game. So it's like you're telling me we got one shot. That's what I'm reading it as. We got one shot to get in there and do this right here with an RPG style game. I hope. And I hope it's not like an RPG. I put this in quotes like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, where it's a 3D beat 'em up with very light RPG elements. So we'll see on that. But I mean, for you, Cog, does this make you, knowing there might be a game on the way or two, do you look at this and go like, it's time for me to sit down and watch? You know, that face tells me everything. I should just move on.
You know, I love you, Naruto's and Dragon Ball. I love you guys. I love you guys. I don't want to kill your joy.
Oh, no.
But old Cog, you know what it is? I'm an old dog. You can't teach me to do tricks on certain things now because I come from like all the old heads will understand. Like I'm a G1 Transformers purist. Colin will appreciate. I'm a G.I. Joe.
Yeah, you two get along just fine.
Yeah, like that.
Dustin's so my man. He gets it.
Exactly. Dustin's your guy. Like, so you're the new generation. You an addict, and Dustin, like that's all you. Because in your eyes, like, yo, this is God tier, and I feel you. And for us, that stuff is God tier. So we see the new stuff. We like, it's not like G1. It's not like, you know, Guyver. It's not like Gatchaman. Like those are the stuff I grew up with. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a generational thing. So I think what it is, I've become the grumpy old man in a way.
You're more open-minded than that, I think.
I'm more open-minded, but with certain things, I'm very bougie. Like my G1, like I don't, like when Transformers got Beast Wars, I like throw Beast Wars fans out the window. I don't want to hear about Beast Wars. I don't want to, like to me, Optimus Prime is classic G1. Even Bayformers, you know what I'm saying? I deal with it because it was just, I was happy it got to the big screen.
Sure.
But like, it's something about the Star Screen with Chris Latter's voice, the Frank Walker Megatron voice, like those are the ones that resonate with me. The maniacal, the deception, like it's something different. It was a different time, and it's just an era thing, man. That's all it is. It's just era. That's all.
Yeah, I think Avatar is excellent, but I also think a lot of its popularity or its respawn of popularity has come in the form of just like stupid TikToks. I hate that platform.
and the last point is that one time, like, all right, I'll try because Adam's like, yo, you gotta, and then they'd be like, yo, yeah, this 400 episodes. I'm like, what? Like somebody,
I think there's
not
only
saying
3
Avatar,
seasons for Avatar, so you're good.
but it was like Dragon Ball. And he was like, he showed me how many episodes of this and Naruto was. And I'm like, nah, I'm good.
No, Naruto is on another level, but Dragon Ball as well. Dragon Ball, it's so weird how popular. I was talking to my friends about this. Dragon Ball is so stupidly popular. And I'm like, in my eyes, like they have a legendary show in Z, but when you go back to watch it, it's not really indicative of like the speed and action of the series. And then you look at Super, which was like destroyed by poor animation and poor story arcs that were super predictable, recycled from Z. Mm-hmm. All that they really have to show for themselves, in my eyes, as someone who's like a diehard Dragon Ball fan, y'all have seen the Dragon Ball drip. I show up in here all the time. I own the I own the Goku Adidas sneakers. Like no one front on me. All right, this is a super fan talking.
I respect it.
But like in my eyes, the only thing they really have to show of modern Dragon Ball, like this is what it's about, this is what we love, is the recent Broly movie. And it's like, that's it. That's all there is to me. Like, of course, there's legendary moments, but if I were to say to you, Cog, yo, go check out the movie about Broly from like 2003, you'd watch it and be like, dude, who's Haruto Garn? What is this? You know, like,
what is this?
Like, this is not good. This is horrible animation. Yeah, it's just, it's fascinating. I could go on. Me and Dustin need to do an anime cast at some point.
Yes, that has to happen.
Yeah. All right, we got another question here from Avery D. Hello, Midrange Maddie and CQC Cog. Long time, first time here. I have a question about the future of Game Pass pricing for you. A few episodes back, it could be more than a few. This pandemic has ruined my sense of time. Hey, me too, by the way. Maddie mentioned he believes that Microsoft will or will not raise the price of Game Pass depending on what Sony's Spartacus is priced at. Going back to this, if Spartacus or one of its tiers is priced higher than Game Pass, do you think Microsoft will keep their price lower or match its price? On the flip side, if Spartacus is the same price as or lower than Game Pass, do you think Microsoft will stay at their current price point or lower to match its competition? Thanks for a fantastic show week after week, and have a I'm at the top of the leaderboard and nothing can stop me kind of day. A lot of well wishes this week, I'm noticing.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Everyone's feeling pretty good, I guess. Elden Ring kind of week.
Yeah. So it is good games out. Yeah, shout out to Every D. Good question. I don't know. I don't know if the price is going to be dictated by what Spartacus does necessarily. Like the only thing I think that Spartacus could dictate is how much quality they're offering. Right? What are they going to go day and day? Like how much is it? Are they doing back compat? You know, I think as a package, what they offer is more impactful to what Game Pass is doing versus, hey, we're just launching a service and it's going to be $20 or whatever. I don't think necessarily Xbox has to jump to that or is going to beat to that drum. So, you know, to me, my thing is with Game Pass pricing is as studios acquisitions continue, as games mature, as more games get into service, yes, I do think the price is going to go up. You know, it's not going to stay at this, you know, price that it is now. And I think you probably see less of the $1 deals and all this, you know, subsidy stuff. I think we're in that still that beginning to middle phase of growth. And I don't think that's going to be towards the middle to their end game. So that's where I'm at with it. But I'm curious, do you think Spartacus could influence it or?
Yeah, it's funny because Avery asked a really great question here because you think of the one side, which is, oh, Microsoft should stand pat until this is announced because if it's higher, then they look great. But do they eventually raise it? And there's so many tendrils to that conversation that really I didn't consider when pitching the idea. So the first part of the question was, I'm just going to reread it here. Do you think Microsoft will keep their price lower or match its price? On the flip side, if Spartacus is the same price or lower than Game Pass, do you think they'll stay at their price point or lower it to match its competition? I don't think going lower is an option here. I think if they stay aggressive like they are with the money in the bank that they have, I think they only go up. That's kind of the nature. Has there ever been a subscription service in history that went, we're going lower? Maybe they offer more tiers.
But yeah, that's it. You may get a lower. That's a great point.
Like a lower tier with less offering, which they kind of already have now. So and most people are asking for more, funny enough. Like they want to pay more. They want a family package. Like it's a weird situation for Game Pass where they're like, yeah, we could totally raise this if we wanted to. And I'm sure we'd get away with it. But I'm under the belief that they're waiting for like a big next subscription service to add into it, like a Ubisoft Plus or something like that. But yes, I'm getting off track here. This is about PlayStation. I think that they remain
what I said was if they will remain until Spartacus announces their price point. At that point, if it's higher, I think they can eventually comfortably raise because they are the established market leader for subscription services. At least right now they are. And I think they'll continue to be just because of the legacy that's already been put into place there. But if they're the same price, I think that's great because now Xbox is not going to be as comfortable moving it up. And if they do move it up, it's going to be a game of inches, not yards. Like it's not going to be, okay, we'll go up $5. It's like, let's do 2, let's do 1. Let's not do anything crazy here. Because if you have 25 million subscribers like they do, think of how much you get with an extra $1, right? It adds up.
It adds up.
It's great money in the bank. So I hope that they're around the same price point. That again, also for the PlayStation side of things, I don't want them to get scammed. PlayStation's edging towards Nintendo territory for me on a level of like with this potential Spartacus tier system where they're like, maybe going to add back compat into it. I'm like, no. You do not monetize that. You do not. Like, if you want to put it in your service and say this is a part of our library, it's one thing. But if you're going to sell back compat like Nintendo selling it as a subscription service, as they strip down the eShop, just like PlayStation tried to strip down their eShop, pay attention, wake up, because it's bad, man. It's bad what they're doing if that's the route they're taking. That's where I think I'll lose my cool more than any other price tag. But that's passion speaking. So great question by Avery.
That's a great question.
Okay. I get very hot these episodes lately. I realize. I think it's because I do one podcast, so I got a lot more to say. Usually in the beginning of the show, you catch me coming off of Ham Radio, Defining Duke Ultimate, which I was on like every single episode, plus my videos. I'm like, okay, I've gotten it all out by this point in time. Now it's just like explode. Energy everywhere.
No, but it's these good spicy topics that, shout out to the Patreon fam because they really know what kind of our sensibilities are.
They know what makes me tick, I guess.
Yeah, they're getting into what kind of bothers us and ticks us. Like, what do you feel about that?
Man.
We know how you feel. So good stuff. Shout out to every day.
Next up is Giovanni D'Amico, who writes in, Hey Dukes, I'm jumping into Horizon Forbidden West this week and plan to play nothing else for a while. Kind of feels like the start of a new MMO because I'll be fully immersed into a ton of open world content and I'm putting everything else on the back burner. Question for you is, if you could set your ideal release calendar, would you prefer a regular cadence of one giant content-rich game that you can sink into for weeks on end, or 2 shorter, less packed experiences that you could hop between more frequently? Obviously, we have different types of games in the industry and a perfect world where both types would constantly be releasing so that you could vary it up. What are you more drawn to? I know Cog is a living game fiend, salute, he says, but also a Game Pass enthusiast. And I know Maddie likes those beefy JRPGs, but also enjoys trying new things. Hey, speaking of, just real quick before I wrap this up, speaking of knowing us well, paying attention right there.
Oh yeah, I remember him on Twitter. Shout out to Giovanni. He really reps us.
Yeah, he really does. I appreciate it. But if you had to choose, which option appeals most? Cog, let's start off with you.
Whew, Giovanni posed a tough one because I'm a gaming contradiction on some levels. Like there's times I love my, like I said, you love my Destiny, these live service, looter shooters, tinkering, min-maxing, cooperative guy. But then I gotta lie, I don't know if it's because I'm a content creator and time is lessened, and there's something to be said about like a high quality 10 to 12 or 14-hour game, and I actually starting to love them more now. Like, remember what I told you, like Forgotten City came out of nowhere for me, and Disco was a little longer. Those are games that jumped on my radar, and I'm like, damn, I can't stop playing it. And I just like that there's a finish. And I'm like, yo, I still felt this was worth it. I felt I got a lot out of it, and I'm on to the next one. So I don't want to be anti open world all the way, but yeah, I do have fatigue sometimes. I do have that, I basically have to make those, what we call the business decisions, right? I can't commit to all of these, right? So it's like, I got to make the tough call. Now there are some that when they come, I'm stopping everything. There's a few, JRPGs the same way. Like with Final Fantasy VII, I stop everything because I've already been there. I've invested all the way. When you have that investment, when you've been there from the beginning, then it's like, okay, I got to see this thing through. You know what I mean? But when the new guy comes and he's like, yo, he's the new next big thing, it's like, damn, the struggle. So it's a dichotomy that I'm in, and if it's up to me, I'd have maybe one or two big ones for the year. And I would prefer the less shorter experiences, and I'm fine with that. But how about you, Mr. Manny Plays, Mr. Play Everything, Review Everything?
Yeah, I guess in a lot of instances, I don't really have a say, Giovanni, but it's tough because I don't want to straw man the answer here, but like when a game's content rich, I got to go back to Elden Ring. I'm going to go back to this one a lot. But when it's like that, it's like that's a, or give me more. Like when in open world, the reason we got fatigued is because we were getting more and they were giving us less interesting things to do. When a
good point.
Open world gives you good stuff to do. It's like the best type of game you can get because you're just living and breathing that world.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you don't get like that's the evolution of our games. But obviously, when you get Ubisoft stepping in, and even some of the best games in recent years, like Ghost of Tsushima, clearly following a little bit of the template there. You know, these big games can sometimes be unattractive, but I also understand why people love them because I remember when I was in high school, like I loved open world games no matter what, because it meant that as a kid who had no money, like I got to sit with that game for a long while. I had to really get my money's worth, and I didn't have to reach for the next game so quickly. So there's a value to that inherently. For me, though, inherently, again, I am more attracted to the tighter experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean, I think that's often thought of as the indie 10-hour game. I'm talking more the 30-ish hours, which I know doesn't sound short, but we're in a day and age where you can go as low as 5 and as high as like 90 to 100.
Yeah.
I think 30 really isn't asking too much, even of a casual player. You can bang that out in a number of weekends if you're really kind of playing a couple, like 5 hours a weekend. I think you can actually get through games of that length. So I don't think it's unreasonable, but I do consider that shorter. And I think it's because of my heritage with BioWare. Like their games really define like that 20 to 30 hour replayable experience where it's enough to play it once and go, I'm done. It's enough to also come back 1,000,001 times and be like, I love this shit. Like, give me more. Yeah. So to me, I'll take instead of 5 Ubisoft style games in an open world, I mean, not their games, but just like a styled open world like that every, what did he say, couple of weeks, or shorter, less packed experiences that you can hop into more frequently. I'm always going to take the new experiences because then you take those new experiences and maybe you build them into something bigger. That's what Elden Ring really is. Like, it was a ton of smaller experiences. I mean, obviously these games are super long, like in the case of Dark Souls especially. But these are games that amounted to something much more, right? So they start off small and they get big. I don't like when things start off big.
I'm with you. And the way you feel there is why I was so excited. It's going to sound weird, PlayStation fans, but it's like, I look at something like Seafood, I'm like, yeah, that's for me, because I can see the potential that you could build to something even bigger. So I get it. And for the Souls fans, salute, man, because like to see where this genre is gone and now Elden Ring, like that's the most awesome evolution, right, into seeing, a game go somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for writing in, Giovanni. Let's talk with Mike Poe, who writes in, good day, Dukes. The past weekend, I finished up Nobody Saves the World from Drinkbox Studios. A sad realization I had while playing it, though, is that I started popping rare diamond achievements by hitting main story milestones, meaning that less than 10% of players who booted up this game have made it to the final dungeon. This isn't a long game, though, so I was surprised to see that story achievements were considered rare. I know that an average game has only about 20% of players hitting the end credits, but I would have thought Game Pass would help raise that a bit. My question is whether you all think Game Pass is going to have a positive or negative effect on overall game completion rates, and if you've noticed any change in how long you stick with a game that's on Game Pass.
I like this.
I do too, man.
This is really good. I'm a little guilty myself. And
is Danganronpa on that list? Hold on. We're gonna hit the T. here.
Oh,
is Danganronpa the 20%er, the 10%er?
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh no!
Listen, man, it's true though. It's true because what
I should have made you pay for it. I should have made you pay for it. And then you would have stuck with it.
That wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I would have still got distracted. But here's the thing. Like all jokes aside, but I just think that it does bother me when I'm playing a game and I'm going through and I see that diamond achievement like I'm some elite person, and it just like
Yeah.
completing chapter 6.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, we got a diamond achievement. Now, granted, I remember with Halo, there was some things people were like, yo, the achievements were glitched and stuff like that. But I have to admit, it does. I don't have any hard and fast data, so we'd have to really research this. But I could just tell you by anecdotal data, feels like I do see the rare achievement pop up a little bit too much on games that I'm like, yo, this is big, and it's in the service, it's bigger. So maybe people are hopping around, and maybe, let's be honest, this is another reality we may not want to deal with. Gamers are changing. They're not the gamers that we are, right? And the gamers, again, not to always I feel like I bully Fortnite too much, and I apologize, but it's like there's the generation that's like the Battle Royale, the live service, and they're just doing that, and they're doing the Apexes, and a lot of those games ain't really achievement based on that. It's about kills and other stuff. So if you're living in those type of games, you're not necessarily playing those other type of games. And let's just look at the top Xbox games, right? A lot of them, I'm just speaking for Xbox, are not a lot of those single player only, no multiplayer in it, no cooperative. When do you see that? You know what games I used to only see kind of was your boys, was Bethesda. When a new Bethesda release, it hold on, which is impressive. That's what shows you Bethesda's pedigree, that it even be in there with just a single player component and really nothing else. But eventually it would just lag off. You see Roblox, you see Call of Duty Warzone, you see the usual suspects, right? And I just think it's more indicative of gaming, the generation of gamers with what they play. The majority plays those Call of Duties and the stuff that we hardcore shun and mock. And I just think it may be that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think Game Pass will impact a completion rate for a lot of people, because I mean, just by default, you're going to have more people playing, popping initial trophies. So that percentage is going to get lower and lower, and it's going to become rare just by player count alone. So I think you're going to just, generally speaking, on a percentage level, see more rare trophies because of that. Because now Game Pass gives you the option to see if you like something and go, okay, this was good, or not me, or maybe I'll come back to this later. I don't think every Game Pass download is necessarily going to result in abandonment, because people just have an abundance of riches and they're like, I'm going to go here, play with this and play with this. It's like, I think for some people, it's genuinely just going to be seeing if it's for them. And some people will stick with it. Some people won't. Like, I know I wouldn't have tried out Unsighted, although I did pay for it separately on Steam to support that team, because it was a small 2-person indie team. But that's a game that I found through Game Pass and learned more about the team afterwards. Like, that is the beauty of it, is the discovery engine. And so you don't stick with everything you just uncover. Like, you're able to test it and tinker with it. And so those achievements by default will be more rare, because I'm certainly not the only one going through that.
Point. Yeah. And last point I'll say is that, let's be honest, we represent the hardcore. So we're playing more than the average gamer. Sometimes the average gamer is just 1 or 2 titles a year, and they're living in those 2 or 3 titles, and that's it.
Got to really stick,
Yeah.
So great question, Mike. Thank you for writing in. Last one goes to sfish616. I really like this one because I was thinking of PlayStation and their setup with Evo and not recognizing maybe what Xbox has here. He writes, hey guys, someone posted the other week about MLG also being a part of Xbox Now and the potential of big esports tournaments, and the thought of a multi-city Xbox celebration with QuakeCon, BlizzCon, and the Xbox Online event came into my head. Especially with E3 being dead in most cases and having numerous presentations, and also having a major esports tournament with Halo, Gears, Quake, COD, Overwatch, Hearthstone, etc. I think this might be a good way to get BlizzCon back on track, and they can learn from QuakeCon, because it seems like they run one of the best live events there is, and it could be a good way to meld all these 3 companies eventually into a more cohesive unit. This also helps with fixing the esports units of COD and Overwatch, because it seems Halo Infinite so far has done better with esports than most games on the market, and could also help with the potential Quake reboot if it has PvP. What are your thoughts?
Fantastic question. I didn't even think about it. And it's so funny how big that damn deal is. With MLG is a footnote, an asterisk that we forget.
Like a, oh yeah, type of thing. Right.
Oh, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, good point, S-Fish. Like, yeah, a lot of potential. And we gotta admit, they are the shooter box, baby. Like, they are the shooter box. They got everything there. And then you think about BlizzCon and what's been going on there. You can revise that. You got all these titles. You can really do a marketing blitz and revive this thing the right way. And yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about it and really become the de facto PvP esports kind of thing. We know damn well Halo is supporting their esports within their monetization model. They're proud of giving you the best skins that they can show you.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
those ray tracing like skins. But anyway, but I think it's a great question. I think that's something they need to take full advantage of.
Yeah, again, you mentioned it, Cog. That's kind of the term of the show, an abundance of riches here, where this is such an obvious idea. Like, I think maybe the direct style presentation format could be, and there's a lot to think about with that, where it's like you could start throwing together a Xbox Fan Fest, you know, a really big one, a multi-day one that has the presentations, the esports tournaments, and all of that. Because QuakeCon is something that they could learn from big time. Like QuakeCon, I've been to it before. And, it's a lot of fun. They have what is the name of the room? It's a room where everyone brings their own computers. And it's a huge auditorium-like area where it is just everyone's lined up side by side with gaming computers, laptops. Probably it smells like shit in there, by the way. It's loaded with gamer goo. And but it's impressive because everyone gets there and they just play games together. They meet through games together. And I feel like if you could combine that with the fanfare of E3 with big announcements, because Bethesda tried to bring announcements to QuakeCon and show off like new gameplay and stuff. I think if you mix that with a little bit of BlizzCon fun, like this could be like the Xbox convention. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot here.
And we were just talking about events, right? How you figure out things through the year. And, you know, because let's be honest, with Evo, a lot of times the fighting, like Tekken 7 will get debut there, right? And you're like, oh, they could do that kind of thing and use that as a marketing. So I'm with you, man. I think this is a great opportunity. I didn't even think about this. Yeah, this is a tremendous potential.
Great idea by S. Fish. A lot of great ideas this episode, it seems. Thank you for writing in, Fish. And that's all we've got for this episode, Cog. It's been a great one yet again.
Yeah, a meaty one. A lot of stuff to talk about. We had the Spectrum with this joint. We got that. We got the Atlas thing. I'm trying to think what we rolling with. It's so many things in this one.
I feel like we got to reward the audience with their write-ins about Atlas and JRPGs. Like that was like hand over fist the most we saw. Like that was an insane amount. So
what we doing?
A little Atlas DD.
Yeah, I like Atlas thing. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, Atlas might
By the way, if anyone writes it ATLAS, you're banned from our show. Spell it right.
Taking a game of credit. You taking a game of credit?
I'm taking away your card. You're gonna have to play 40 hours of Persona 4 Golden to get it back. So
you got no you and your Atlas. You get out of here.
Yeah. Atlas DD with a U. Use that hashtag, whether it be in the comments here, on the Patreon post, or on Twitter at G27status is my handle, at Lord Cognito is Cogs. You can tag us there. Let us know what you think of the show. Anything we could improve on, anything you loved about it. Certainly, we're looking forward to hearing from all of you. And with that, Cog, any closing thoughts, or shall we wrap this up?
Yeah, man, fantastic show. Again, appreciate the support. The writers were on fire. They really were on fire. Very, very good. And like, yeah, man, you picked some good ones too, man. So this is another DD banger. Put your dukes up. The other one, man, we did it.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, take great care of yourselves. Keep an eye out for the next episode of DDU while I got your attention. And then see you after that for episode 61 of Defining Duke. Take great care of yourselves and peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.